Code Cleric, a gaming podcast, is an independent production created by me, Landen, and my friend Asad. This is the first iteration of the show, and we are glad that you are here. In this first episode, we explore dead gaming franchises we would like to see make a return. If you would like to show your support, please consider leaving us good reviews on whichever podcast service you are listening on, and share us with your friends. Thank you for listening, and please enjoy. Greetings and welcome everybody to the Code Cleric podcast, a podcast about gaming and other such shenanigans. My name is Landen. I am joined today by my good friend Asad, the workaholic himself who has put out 15 million videos in the time that I have put out 3, maybe 4. Asad, introduce yourself, please.
Hey, what's up? I feel like you in the last year you've put out 4 videos? Last calendar year, last 12 months.
Last 12 months, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, maybe 6 now.
Maybe 6.
Because
that's true.
Because the Halo video, which if you're seeing this is probably out by now. It's for sure out by now.
I'm
literally posting it. I'm trying to post it tomorrow, so we'll see.
You've been working on that since December, dude.
Yeah, I know. It's been rough. Yeah, no, Asad makes incredible video essay content on YouTube. It's good stuff. It's a lot like mine, except he's a lot more goofier.
And what is yours like? For anybody who doesn't know you, by the way.
That's totally fair. I make video essays that are about taking games too seriously and making mini movies of them, where I'm like, look at this game, look how scary it is. Look at this cool, awesome aspect of this game. For example, I've made videos about the supernatural mysteries of Red Dead Redemption, one of my favorite game franchises of all time. I've also made videos about Fallout, the classic Fallout games, and even Fallout 3 in New Vegas, and focusing a lot on the horror aspects of that as well. Trying to branch out a little bit more and stop doing horror content, because that's all I've known on YouTube for a very long time now. But right now what I'm trying to do with my videos is I'm encompassing video games and then finding a philosophy in there and then just discussing how they portray that philosophy. So yeah, that's my content. It's very self-serious, but at the same time, I'm also trying to kind of keep it a little bit more lighthearted, especially with the most recent video I put out. As you can see, I'm still trying to find my footprint here.
Yeah, I mean, if you haven't seen my stuff before, it's very similar to Landen's. It's just goofier. I'll make a sillier edit. I'll toss somebody through a window or something, make little smash effects, bonk people in the head with a hammer. I feel like I'm describing my content terribly, but it's also video essay stuff. And trying to balance that, being depressed about the games industry right now, and then being hey, here's a silly, goofy cartoon joke that I made.
Yeah, so I mean, this is the first podcast that we're doing. It's going to be a little rough. I'm sorry about that. We're still trying to find our voice with this as well. We have no idea what it is. This is still very much being conceptualized even as we record. We just wanted to record and see what would happen. So if you're here, thank you for sticking with us. It's going to get crazier from here. Who knows what will happen?
You can tell that we're two guys that script every word that they say when we're on camera.
Oh, 100%.
And now the second that we have to think and talk at the same time, we're malfunctioning.
A little bit, but it's a learning experience, and
I'm having a good time.
Me too. This is great. Asad, I want to break the ice here a little bit and talk about what we've been playing. Not deeply. Let's just dude, what games have you been playing lately?
Recently, I played a little bit of Avowed. Probably 3-4 hours of Avowed over one game session. I think I just played a bunch. I was having a decent time with it, so I played it a bunch and then I just stopped, and then I haven't had the urge to go back to it. Been playing a lot of Kingdom Come Deliverance too, and a decent amount of Metaphor ReFantasia. I feel like I'm playing that kind of in between a lot of things. So a lot of RPG stuff, which isn't typically like me, but I'm trying to get more into RPGs.
For the audience, this guy hates RPGs.
That's not true.
There was we were hanging out one time, and there was one time he literally stood up on the table and screamed, "I hate RPGs, I hate RPGs, I hate RPGs." And I was like, dude, you need to calm down. It was really bad. Just to kind of put that out there. I don't know what
We've never hung out before.
We-
Just a blatant lie. You know, I actually have a video on my channel called "Why I Hate RPGs."
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's probably dog shit. I haven't gone back and I kind of want to rewatch it before I make this next video that I'm working on.
I know you don't like RPGs, but I don't really know why. I think you've kind of like broadly described it sometimes, but
It's not that I don't like them. It's just like it does. Sometimes it just doesn't it doesn't scratch the itch that I particularly want. It's not like it's not like oh, this is poorly designed or whatever. It's just like I don't know, man. I don't want to read a bunch of text sometimes. Sometimes I just want to hit people with a sword.
I totally get that. I am a big RPG guy, and as an RPG guy, sometimes I'm like sitting there and playing games, and I'm just like, I don't want to fucking read. I
Yeah.
can't do this right now. It's two completely different like moods. It's like sometimes I want to play games, and sometimes I want to play RPGs, and that's kind of more how I roll. Like RPGs were like I grew up with RPGs, dude. I freaking love them to death. But like as of late, and especially like, as I had like less time to play games properly, like I want like shorter, more like kinetic action games as opposed to like really deep role playing games. But and speaking of which, I'm also playing Avowed. I tried it out on Game Pass, and yeah, it's fine. Like it's generally fine. Like we're gonna get deeper into our thoughts here. But like as I'm playing it, I'm definitely like I don't give a goddamn spit about anything that is happening right now. I just want to fucking hit people with a sword and blast a book in their face, and it's pretty great. For
Yeah.
that.
No, the combat in that game is really fun.
Oh, dude, it's so good.
But like I literally I don't remember anybody. Like I played it like 2 weeks ago. I don't remember a
Mhm.
single character. I remember there was a big blue guy, but I don't remember his
Yeah.
name. I like there was so many like phrases and names and stuff being thrown at me, and I had no reason to know who any of them were or like why I should care about any of it. But the combat's really fun. Also, you haven't been playing KCD 2, right?
No, I haven't. Just haven't had the time. I'm kind of like loosely interested in it, but I'd want to play Kingdom Come Deliverance 1 first. I remember when that game came out, my brother was pretty excited about it, and he played it for a bit. And from what I can tell, he has tried out the second one and he really likes it. He just doesn't have the time for it either. But that's like eventually, like I'll get to it when I get to it kind of game.
Yeah.
Probably never, but we'll see.
It's a time sink for sure. Like I
100%,
feel like
yeah.
it's not the kind of game that I would like. I told you I was playing Metaphor kind of in between stuff. Like I played GTA 4 for the first time,
Nice.
like a month back. And while I was playing that, I was playing Metaphor, and
Mhm.
now I'm playing KCD 2, and I'm playing Metaphor kind of in between. And I'm only like 15, 20 hours into Metaphor, even though I've technically been playing for a few months. I can do that with that game. I feel like I can't do that with KCD 2. I would like start forgetting so many things about it and like how to deal with it. It's such a crushing experience also, especially because like I spent so much time in the early sections. So I'm still not at a point where I'm like super I guess like well kitted out and super familiar with the combat. So yeah,
I've heard the combat is like really rough at first too because you're so bad at it. Like,
Yeah.
it's so hard.
Yeah.
It's it's really crushing that.
We'll
sense,
get
but
more into it. I'm gonna try and convince you to
Yeah.
play it.
Okay, yeah, sure. All right, I'm done. And aside from that, I'm also playing Metal Gear Solid 2: Sons of Liberty, and I'm playing that on my PlayStation Vita. And I'm having a grand old time with that. It's a really fun way to play that game. I just wish I'd have the original Vita with the OLED screen. I have the cheaper one with the LCD screen, and it's smaller, and I fucking hate it.
I
It
actually
like
never
crushes
had.
my hands.
Oh,
really?
dude, I hate that. I hate that about the Switch. That was the reason why like I struggle so much to finish games on the Switch, and I feel like I've barely used my Switch in the last like 2 years because it's just like I can't hold it properly, and then when I have it on like the big screen, like all of the more recent games that are coming out, like the Switch can barely handle them, and it
Mhm.
just shows. And it's like it's tougher to use that system. So I definitely but any kind of device that has your hands cramped like that, it's a mess.
stuff.
Yeah.
I got like the Ori split gamepad for the Switch that like adds grips and like a little back pedals to it. And that was like that was a huge game changer. I actually like enjoy playing on my Switch there, but I haven't played my Switch in fucking ages either. That thing is purely a Zelda and Metroid machine.
Yep.
Nothing more. Actually, I've played some classic Final Fantasy on that. It's a good machine for that too, but that is literally it. So yeah, we'll get deeper into the weeds there soon. Why don't we just get into the topic at hand? Why don't we do what people have been waiting for us to do?
They've been begging. They've been
begging.
There are so many people in my DMs. When are you gonna get to this?
Asad brought a topic to me that I thought was pretty fun, pretty silly and goofy, and I'm just gonna let him describe what it is.
Yeah. So, this is gonna be the main part of the show. We're gonna be talking about reviving dead franchises. Basically, well, first of all, we have to define what a dead franchise is before we start reviving them. The rules have changed over time. When I first set them up, it was like nothing before I had the date. It was the release date of the PS4, I think, because the PS4 came out like a week before the Xbox One. So I was like, okay, 8th gen and onwards, if like a mainline entry got dropped there, that like it wasn't like a mobile port or a remaster or a remake, whatever, that's not a dead franchise. Anything before that. And then immediately you message me and you're like, can I somehow avoid this rule? So I think we decided 2014 was, I guess, the last day that we're considering for mainline series.
Mm-hmm.
Which would make it 11 years as of now since the last time that it showed up properly. I think that's a decent margin. Yeah, so we're gonna be each talking about like 3 dead franchises that we want to bring back, and not just in broad terms. We're kind of gonna be pitching what we think would make a good game, including like who would make it. Is it going to be the original developers? Is it going to be somebody else? What the format is going to be? Is it going to be a prequel? Is it going to be a reboot? I think those are all the rules. We're going to start with you.
Okay.
So you said you wanted to do like a little guessing game here. You wanted me to guess what the game was first.
Yeah. So the first, what we're doing is like we're doing like oldest to like newest franchise basically. Or
I thought we were doing it the other way. Ooh, you got a little thumbs up on your Discord. I saw that.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Stupid.
It was great.
There we go.
Yeah, there it is.
This is not going to appear on the final video, but in case you guys didn't know, Discord has a thing, little emote things when you do a thumbs up or hard eyes, because if you like transform your eyes into hearts, it will show little hearts on the screen too.
If I do it like this, does it notice? Does it figure it out? No, it doesn't. Hell,
it doesn't. That's stupid.
Yeah, I think we should go newest to oldest. So most recent franchise, and then the last franchise we talk about is like old as dirt. Oh, I should also. There's one other rule that I forgot to mention, because Landen and I we're not the oldest. Okay, no. we missed out on a lot of classic stuff. I had a feeling
I was born in 2004,
and that's fucked up. I really hate that. But I had a feeling that if we were to put this together and it was just like the franchise we were most attached to, it was all going to be like PS3 era, or Xbox. I don't know if you were. I think you were a bit more of an Xbox guy.
I was PS3.
Oh, were you? Okay.
Yeah, in spite of me literally making content about Halo and Fallout and Red Dead Redemption, I was a PS3 kid all the way, dude.
Huh. I didn't know that.
Yeah, it's stupid.
Yeah. Anyways, so we have the one rule is that at least one of the franchises has to be before the PS3, Xbox 360 era. Also, these games could have come out on like PC. They could have come out on Switch or Wii or wherever. Like any console is fine, but those are just like the dates that are most convenient to like go off of, I guess.
All right. I guess we'll kind of. I got a question for you, Asad.
Yes.
What game released in 2009 that is basically Carnage the video game?
Prototype?
You fucking got it. My first game is Prototype. So I guess viewers, what is Prototype? I wrote down little excerpts right here so I can explain things thoroughly. So bear with me. It's gonna sound, you're gonna hear professional Landen now. So, Prototype was a short-lived action open-world game series where you embody mayhem itself. The first game, released in 2009, follows edgelord Alex Mercer in New York City as he wakes and discovers his body is possessed by highly unnatural parasitic powers. Among superhuman strength and dexterity, these powers also allow him to take on the forms of random NPCs, conjure obnoxious tendrils and claws from his hands, and even has a defensive biological body armor attached to him. This game and its sequel is pure junk food. Mindless fun as you grab helpless old ladies from the street, run up a building, and surf on their heads when you go back down. You can fend off against hordes of army men and tanks, grab cars and lunge them towards choppers, among many other ridiculous circumstances. In comparison to other open world games at this time, Prototype stands out due to its absurdly fun nature. Instead of driving around really cool fast cars, you're running up to buildings and slamming into the ground at Mach 10, devastating the environment and everyone around you. This game was often compared to Sony's Superhuman series, Infamous, for obvious reasons, and while they are both great in their own right, Prototype always felt more fun and interactive to me. So, high-level thoughts right now. Hit me.
High-level thoughts are that you wrote way more notes than I did. I have bullet points. I had some bullet points. I was like, we're going off the cuff. It's a podcast. And you made a miniature video on
I couldn't help myself. I'm sorry.
That's fine. Prototype is a game I always wanted to play. I was an Infamous kid. I played. I think it's because when I got my PS3, it was like preloaded with Infamous because I think there was like some PSN outage.
Infamous
issue.
1?
No, Infamous 2.
Okay.
Yeah.
I started with Infamous 2 as well. I didn't play Infamous 1 until like a couple of years ago.
Same, yeah. Well, not a couple of years ago. It was a while ago, but yeah. I started with Infamous 2 because I think what happened was like there was like a PSN outage, and they gave Infamous 2 for free to a bunch of people, and then after that, like every bundle came with Infamous 2. So they were just giving that game away at some point. So that's the one that I played.
That's a legendary PlayStation moment right there.
Yeah.
Where you had the I forget their names, but like the execs, like the Sony execs are like on stage and they're bowing because they're so ashamed and they're like, we're so sorry.
I've never seen that.
The PSN outage wasn't like, oh, PSN's out for a night. It was like gone
a month,
for
right?
Weeks, like like almost a month, basically, where like you just could not play online. You couldn't redeem your PlayStation Plus games or anything like that. I'm not sure if that was before or after that. I know PS3 introduced the free monthly games, but it was a rough time. I didn't have internet at that time, so I didn't experience it. It's one of the legendary PlayStation moments. It's good stuff. So I'm sorry, go on.
Yeah, I was just gonna say like that's how I got into it. I always looked at Prototype. I always wanted it, but my PS3, like what I played on PS3 was basically like the long and short of it was, did my cousin have it and did he game share it with me? Because I had no goddamn money. So I never got to Prototype. Always liked the look of it, and I know that it's one of those games where everyone will make a retrospective of like this hidden gem that like came on the PS3 era and is better than Infamous, and I'm like, all right. I mean, it looks cool. It looks fun.
It's neither like they're very similar for obvious reasons, but they're like apples and oranges at the same time. Like I play Infamous for an entirely different reason than I play Prototype. And they're both fucking amazing. They're both great. But Prototype to me is just like, that was a game I don't remember. I just remember having it, you know? And I was just like, all right, cool. I'll just pop this in the PS3 and play it. And it was just so fun walking around and just like, it was like another level of GTA where you're just going around killing people for like no reason. But like your carnage, basically. Like this game literally it's like the most accurate representation of what it's like to be like Venom or Carnage in a game, I guess up until Spider-Man 2, most recently. But why Prototype of all games?
I'm very like, it doesn't seem like the kind of game that you would be like so into that you want to see it come back. It's kind of, from what I've seen, it was like kind of surface level. It was kind of just like you said, it's Mayhem the video game.
Yeah, no, totally.
So I'm very curious.
It's entirely selfish, like selfish nostalgia reasons. I don't think there's a good reason to bring this game back, actually. But with that being said, business wise, if I have to like put on the business suit here, I think there is room for another like kinetic action superhuman game set in like a grand metropolis, you know? Like today's Spider-Man has that stranglehold over the genre, and it's like for good reason. But with the general like Marvel fatigue being felt throughout the industry, there's potential room for like non-traditional superpowered games to kind of like maybe have a rise. Prototype is fondly remembered by almost everyone who played it, and the games performed well, all things considered. So, I like why not give it a shot? How is the thing? And like when I was researching this, I was like, okay, so like what happened to Prototype? What went wrong with it? And apparently, like the second game sold really well, and like was a success. It was the classic textbook, like it just didn't meet our expectations. So we're just gonna absorb the studio into Activision, and then Activision was absorbed by Xbox, and it's like, oh, okay, so this team is gone basically.
Yeah.
There has been no like official like disbandment of what was the team. I think it was called Radical Games. I literally have it right here. Yeah, Radical Studios. Like they faced substantial layoffs in like 2010 and 2012, and they were, like I said, they were absorbed by two mega giants. So that team will never see the light of day again. But I think there is
assume
a cool
at this
way
point they're just like a support studio for Call of Duty.
Yes. No, I literally think that's exactly what happened. So how would I bring this game back? A remake would be cool, but me personally, I would just reboot the series and reboot it in a new city. The first game, I haven't played the second game, so I can't say for sure, but the first game takes place in New York City. And New York City's cool. I love playing in New York City and like various other games, but it's also kind of like overdone in a way.
New York City's like, not cool, by the way. Hey, from personal experience,
it's cool in my mind.
You know what? I'm gonna pause you. I know I keep interrupting you.
Go on.
But
you're right.
I live in New York for anybody who doesn't know, and I was just talking to somebody today about how I've been living here for about a year and a half, and I have shorthand for different crazy people around my area. Like there's the Chase guy, because he's like right outside of the Chase bank, and he always asks for $1 for chicken and lamb over rice. He says it the same way every single time. There's like a crazy guy at Dunkin' Donuts who was like almost attacked me for, I think I had my headphones in, and he like started yelling at me, and he was saying that he was asking me something. I was like, dude, I couldn't hear you. And then there was one guy that I saw like 2 days ago who was running around, and I think he was trying to get hit by cars. And he, at one point, he like jumped in front of my friend's car, and he put his hand up and like tried to stop them, and they got freaked out.
Like, he was playing a Saints Row ragdoll minigame.
Exactly. Anyways, that's my experience with New York. It's just like a lot of crazy people in my area that I have to like refer to by specific names, and it's like, oh yeah, that guy. I've like people in my area are like, oh, I've seen that guy around.
That's awesome. I mean, I kind of I live in Omaha, Nebraska, which is not New York City. It's a small city, but like there's still like your fair share of like, you know, crackheads and estranged people who are like downtown. And I work downtown as well, so like they come into the workplace regularly as well. But I imagine they have nothing on the New York City insanity that is there. Anyways, with that being said, I still really want to visit New York. I feel like it'd be really fun and cool, fulfill like a childhood dream of mine. But yeah, anyways, a lot of games take place in New York City, and that's cool. That's awesome. But like Spider-Man 2 and Spider-Man 2 portrays that city really well, but I feel like other cities would be cooler. First thing that came to mind, like Chicago, Philly. Dude, take it out of the country, maybe. Like, do like Toronto or London, Tokyo. Like, set a prototype game. Dude, a prototype game in Tokyo is literally Akira. Like, you could make like an Akira game, and that'd be sick. I want fun, fast traversal, wall running, tendril swinging, gliding, something creative and physics driven where you can like really feel the momentum of your actions. Like, when I picture this game in my head, you run off of a building and then you launch like this tendril and like it hits a building, but like it doesn't hit a building like it does in Spider-Man where it's like it's a nice web. It like puts its mark in the building and you like swing from it, and like there's a lot of momentum there. I want the combat to cater towards like you are an unstoppable demon fighting off hordes of police army men, tanks, choppers, and jets. And most importantly, I want environmental destruction. I want the option to destroy the city in its entirety, whether it's possessing a tank, redirecting missiles, or manually slicing the supports of a building from its roots. Like, lean into the sandbox nature of the game. Ditch the story. I don't care about the story at all. Ditch the story if you have to.
What's the main character's name in Prototype?
Alex Mercer.
Oh, okay. I actually do know that. I actually did know that.
Yeah, he has a hood and he's just
like,
a fucking
I don't think anyone knows anything about the stories of those games.
I didn't ask for these powers, but I'm gonna use these powers and fucking ruthlessly maim an old lady. You know, like it's
Hell
dumb
yeah.
shit like that. And no one cares about the story. Absolutely no one. Like, you just play that game to just cause destruction. And I feel like you can release a game today where you just drop someone in a world and just make them have fun, and they would appreciate it more than them having to sit through like a cutscene and like them trying to humanize this character who's he's literally a nuclear warhead just as a person. Like, it's just don't humanize him. Who cares? I don't care who makes this game. Radical Entertainment developed Prototype. They faced substantial layoffs and were absorbed. Prototype will likely never see the light of day again. But the first studio to come to mind to me when this happened was the studio who made the Just Cause games, Avalanche Studio Games. I feel like their focus, because they're very focused on sandbox games with destructible environments, and it's kind of just, that was like the first game studio that came to mind when it came to like making a game like this. But I mean, this is like Microsoft, who owns Prototype, and then they're owned by a completely different company. I doubt that would ever happen, but I feel like they could do a pretty good job. So, businessman Asad, how did I do? Are we reviving Prototype in 2025?
I have good news and bad news for you.
Okay.
The bad news is this is never going to happen. It's like they bring back Infamous 10 times out of 10 before they bring back Prototype. And it's obviously not like a one-to-one thing where they have to discuss like, hey, which one of these are we bringing back as a collective in the games industry?
Yeah.
But just like the fact that Sony has shown no interest in an Infamous reboot or something like that, I feel like it is just proof that like what market is this for, right? You said yourself, like, story wise there's not much there, character wise there's not much there. This probably does best as like a sandboxy linear game that's like 10 hours long, and that barely exists anymore. And usually it's just like those same I guess fundamentals are put in a bigger game, I guess. So I don't think it's going to happen, unfortunately for you. But the good news is this sounds like a game that could be about Carnage or Venom. And there were those leaks. There were those leaks of Insomniac making a Venom game. That was technically
if that ever happens.
Yeah, that was supposed to technically come out this year, I think.
Yeah.
But we haven't heard anything about it.
The documents.
Yeah. We haven't heard anything about it, and they haven't acknowledged it. And there's been no actual official announcement. But if you're going to get something that's as close to this as possible, it's going to be that Venom game.
Yeah, 100%.
So there's that.
I don't know what they're doing. What? Okay. Sony, I know you're listening. Insomniac.
Yeah, of course. Why wouldn't they be?
What are you doing? What are you Okay, okay, I'm sorry. I'm going to go off on a tangent right here.
Go for it.
Spider-Man The Great Web. Have you seen the footage for that? The like multiplayer
Spider-Verse
game that they were doing?
Multiverse. Yeah. Was there footage for that? I thought they were just
Dude, there's an entire leaked trailer, and there's even like leaked character customization things in that as well, where it's like you literally select Spider-Man's body type, you select like the eyes, the color palette, it's a completely cumizable Spider-Man game where you make your own Spider-Man.
Well, how did I miss that? I kind of did avoid the leaks. I wanted to like try and especially because Wolverine was going on and like their privacy was in jeopardy. Totally I was fair. Like, I'm not gonna look at this.
Totally fair.
Yeah.
So you cancel that because that was their live service initiative, and obviously Sony's been doing a mass culling of that entire endeavor. But that was like one of the better ones that was supposed to come out. Like, you look at that and then you look at Concord and you're like, which one of these is going to do well? they stuck to Concord, so it was like, all right.
I feel like that's a bit of a timeline thing, though. Like if Concord
I'm
was
sure.
ready, I'm sure the Spider-Verse game was like a few years out still, and so
Yeah,
you probably just look at the landscape and you're like, we fucked up a little bit here.
that's totally fair. On top of that, Tony Todd, who recently passed away, which is really sad. He's really great. Literally said, like, when I was playing Venom, I record like a quarter of my lines is used in the actual game.
I remember that.
He recorded so much more, and they have an entire like Venom plot recorded. I mean, I'm not necessarily sure if like about other actors, but at least for the main character Venom, and plus an entire moveset laid out, and you're just not doing anything with it. Like, we should have heard something by now.
I think it was supposed to be DLC. I think that's part of also why they took so long to announce that they weren't doing DLC. It's one, either they're pivoting to do something like Miles Morales, and maybe it's being pushed later. Like, it's not this year; it's going to be a little bit later. Or honestly, the leaks kind of affected what they're working on, right?
Listen, Insomniac has been carrying this generation, and so it's like I really can't be too mad at them. Obviously, I don't really care, honestly. But at the same, like, selfishly, I'm also like, come on, dude, like that would have been fun. And obviously, Wolverine. I feel like we should have heard something about Wolverine at this point too.
Yeah.
Like, so that game seems like it's in trouble.
I have a hot take about Wolverine.
Yeah,
I think it's going to be canceled.
I think
it's going to be canceled.
No.
Yeah.
You can't. No.
Okay, I think that's actually in my notes somewhere because I mentioned something with Insomniac. It's not an Insomniac game that I put in here though. Or no, it is.
Right.
What am I saying? What? It is an Insomniac
You just
game.
lied.
I just lied. For some reason,
You just lied to my face.
It's a game that like everyone gets confused with Sucker Punch, and I always get annoyed when they get confused with Sucker Punch. And then for some reason, even though I just prepared this entire thing, I had a brain fart. Now I started thinking about Sucker Punch as developing that. Anyways,
that's incredible.
That's a spoiler for what I'm going to be talking about, I guess. But yeah, I honestly think that Wolverine, it got announced 2021. So it's been 4 years now, and we only have a cinematic. I don't know.
I've seen the leaks. It's obviously not finished. It's further along. It's at this point, it's definitely way further along. But I feel like you say that, and I'm like, no, you're crazy. But then this is Sony, who canceled The Last of Us Online when it was literally 90% done. Like, that game was like almost finished, and they were like,
yeah,
nah,
there was some weird stuff
destroy everything that we did.
Yeah.
Anyways, back to Prototype.
Yeah, but a huge tangent. Prototype.
Huge tangent.
I look, I don't see it happening. In terms of your pitch, I think it would be super fun. If I was like actually, if I was Mr. Business and I was trying to, actually greenlight a prototype project, I think you're gonna have to come in with like some kind of narrative, some kind of world building.
Oh, sure.
There's no way you can get away with just like sandbox, destroy everything. Because wasn't that basically what Crackdown 3 was? And people thought that was like kind of shit.
I never actually played Crackdown, so I can say. Sorry, I'm petting my cat right now. She's adorable. She's just like laying right here.
Is she too shy to be on camera?
She'll probably show up on camera when she's done napping and
at
starts
the
being crazy.
Most inconvenient time she'll show up on camera.
100%. It's we've had meetings before, and she has totally like terrorized me, and it was awful.
My favorite was when she like Tarzan jumped behind your poster and then like fell out the bottom. It was like it was a very cartoon character.
I'll just show. I got this tapestry up here. It's the Elden Ring map, and she loves to climb it. And it was expensive, and I hate her for that. She really annoys the shit. But she knows that I don't like it, so she does it for my attention. I get it. It's all right. Anyways,
she'll make a cameo experience. Appearance
sometime. 100%.
Oh yeah.
This is never going to happen. 100%. It's totally not going to happen. I understand that, but that's not... Listen, we can live in a fantasy world here. I'm going to top this all off with a bit of trivia that I found. I got 2 bits of trivia for this, actually.
Okay.
One of them is false. I want you to guess which one is false.
That's not trivia, then. That's just... You're just lying to me.
Listen, I just made this up right now, actually. So,
Right.
I want you to guess which one's false. Before Sam Raimi's Spider-Man 4 was canned, a game tie-in for the PS3, Xbox 360, and Wii was already in development, intending to release in 2011. However, once the movie fell through, the game was later changed into Prototype 2. And then, supposedly, a crossover with Infamous and Prototype was planned for 2016, but was canceled due to a shift in resources since the priority was now Concord.
Okay, hold on. I'm confused because you said supposedly for the second one. So are like,
Fuck.
did you just tell me that that's fake?
Did I just fuck that? God damn it, dude.
I was like, what? How are you gonna give me? How are you gonna tell me one of them is wrong? And then you started off by saying like, this is maybe, I don't know. There's no real source on this.
That sucks. I hate that I did that.
That's, you know what's crazy
that was
about
the
that
false
is
one.
I probably, if you hadn't have said that, I would have been like, there's no way that they turned a Sam Raimi movie tie-in game into a different game in an established series. That's wild. I actually had no idea about that.
Hold on, I'm sorry. She knocked over my pistachio shell. I was munching on some pistachios before this, and I put the cup down. Oh, come on, please. Sorry about that. Yeah, no, it's insane. Like, it's totally. I mean, I like the idea of. Personally, it's really cool to think like, oh yeah, they were like Spider-Man 4. The entire Spider-Man trilogy has tie-in games, and I love those games. Those games are fucking awesome. And so it's like, yeah, why wouldn't there be a Spider-Man 4 game in development as the movie is like trying to start up? You know, games take way longer to make too. So it's like, of course they had to get the jump on that. No, yeah, apparently like the studio, like Radical was working on Spider-Man 4, and then the project was like out of it, and it's like, I guess we'll just make Prototype 2 then.
So I guess you do. I mean, like, I guess all the city assets you can keep using, and
New York City, like you just use it. Yeah.
And there's like swinging-esque things in Prototype, right? Like you don't really swing, but
you don't swing. There's like parkour aspects. You run, jump, you glide, all that dumb stuff, and like wall run. So like you have like a superhuman set. But yeah, when I was like researching the trivia for this, there was just a blatant misinformation that was like a Infamous and Prototype project was being planned, and it was like, no, it was not. No, it was no fucking. Do you even know how stupid that sounds?
Was it like a thing that did it catch steam like on as a rumor, or was it just some random guy on Reddit said this?
It was a thing. So from memory, it was a Kotaku article that was posted on the Prototype subreddit, and people just believed it from there. I don't know if this was a fabricated Kotaku article or not. It kind of looked like it. In fact, it probably was. And so it was just blatant misinformation that was like put there. And I'm sure it was just someone like making a joke about the whole Concord situation. So.
Yeah.
Anyways, that's it for Prototype. Give a round of hand for Prototype. Shout out Prototype. We love and miss you. Asad.
I never knew ye, but yes.
What is your game?
Okay, so I guess I have to come up with. Well, it's an Insomniac game. I'm just gonna leave it at that because I've already told you that much. And I just
Sunset Overdrive.
No, it's not. That one's too. No, that was a launch title, so that technically would have.
Oh right.
But
that was 2014.
Yeah, that was 2014.
Like I feel like
but one of the ones that I have on here is still straddling that line as well.
Okay.
Okay. But Sunset Overdrive is good, and I think it has a lot of potential. But I think that like what they're doing with like their other games basically makes up for Sunset Overdrive.
So Insomniac.
Yeah.
You have Ratchet and Clank.
Mm-hmm.
Is it Ratchet and Clank?
No.
Oh, okay.
The last game in this series. The last game in this series came out in mainline. Last one came out in 2011.
2011. Insomniac Games. Confused for Sucker Punch. I'm blank.
Insomniac considers this as their first mature title. Do you just have a hole in your knowledge here?
I really can't think. I don't know. I don't know
Alright.
what's going on right
You
now.
want me to?
Yeah,
You want me to tell you
I
what it
give up.
is?
I give up.
It's Resistance.
What the fuck? Wait, no, dude. Okay. So when you brought this topic up, I literally was like, oh, he's gonna pick Resistance
What? Why?
because you have Resistance 3 in your like
Oh
little
yeah, I do.
setup,
I have like a little poster,
and
up
it's
there,
like that is
yeah.
the obvious pick. It's like Resistance or Killzone is the obvious pick for like reviving like a first person. What the fuck, dude?
Okay, Prototype.
Anyway. That's so.
I hear that take. I think a lot more is Prototype.
How did I not get that, dude? I literally, whatever. I'm dumb.
I am pretty surprised.
No, like I didn't.
I'm pretty
I knew it. I knew it too. Anyways,
Okay,
go
buddy.
on. I'm
All
sorry.
right, if you say so. For anybody who's unfamiliar with Resistance, first of all, the first Resistance game came out in 2006. It was a PS3 launch title. Resistance 2 came out in 2008. Resistance 3 came out in 2011. So the entire Resistance franchise exists on the PlayStation 3. I also think it's crazy looking back at old series like this, which are they're fresh IPs. They're even when you're making the sequels and everything. There's a lot of resources going into it, a lot of time going into it, and they're releasing like 2 years apart from each other. Because nowadays they'll release like 8 years apart from each other.
Dude, yeah, no, like when you think of that era, Resistance 1, 2, and 3, Uncharted 1, 2, and 3, plus The Last
Yep.
of Us. Sly
Yep.
Sly Cooper only had one game.
Nope, that was.
Uh,
Excuse me.
no, like for the PS3. This is what I meant.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was like, what?
Fuck. There's another. Oh yeah, Ratchet and Clank. Like, didn't that get like 3 games too?
Dude, Ratchet and Clank had like 400 games on the PS3.
Yeah,
I swear
dude.
to
Oh
God.
my goodness.
Yeah.
Anyways,
Anyways.
that was a golden era.
It really was. Things were coming fast and furious. I feel like the PS4 established like the quality that we know, especially from PlayStation. But yeah, it was nice to have a game every few months, really, from like these big franchises. Anyways, the Resistance franchise also has 2 portable spin-offs. I've never played them. I've also barely touched Resistance 1 and 2. Resistance 3 was my jam. Resistance 3 is still one of my favorite games. I played it co-op with my brother. One of my favorite experiences, just like overall. Resistance 1 and 2 follow Nathan Hale as he, along with British and American forces, try to stop a deadly alien species called the Chimera from taking over Earth in an alternate history of 1951. Chimera can infect humans and convert them into Chimera also, so most people that go against them either die or they join their ranks. Spoilers for Resistance 2, because this is an important part of Resistance 3. It's the beginning of Resistance 3, and it's the end of Resistance 2. In Resistance 3, you play as the guy who killed the protagonist from Resistance 1 and 2.
That's awesome.
And
I
that
didn't
blew
even know
my
that.
little mind. Yeah, that blew my little mind when I was playing it as a kid. When my brother and I were playing it, he was like 7 years old. He should not have been playing that game with me. And he was like, oh my God, you play as the guy who was in the first 2 games. We didn't know who the guy in the first 2 games even was. Yeah. And we were like, oh, no way, that's crazy. As far as gameplay, it's an FPS game. It's not really horde-y, even though it's an alien invasion shooter. They kind of act like regular humans in combat, sort of, in a cover shooter. And yeah, lots of unique weapons in this one. It's kind of like angsty teen Ratchet and Clank.
Yeah.
Because you get chimera weapons. They're like an advanced alien species, so you're just like shooting electricity at people and I don't know, turning them inside out or something. I don't remember all the guns, but there were like there's some cool stuff for sure. Yeah. Do you have any high level thoughts on Resistance on this choice? You kind of said that you expected it a little bit and then didn't say it.
I was being stupid, as you can tell. Resistance is a fantastic choice, dude. It's such a cool series. I love the idea of like human history is happening. World War II is it World War II or World War I that the first game takes place in?
It's like right after World War II.
I love the idea of like it's in the middle of a conflict, and then all of a sudden there's just an alien invasion, and everyone's like, okay, now we have a common enemy. And so it's the entirety of humanity as a whole, like facing this alien threat, and they're losing. Like it is it is awful. Like they are dying constantly, and it is really cool. And you see the timeline, you see throughout the trilogy, you see it all unfold, and it's wonderful. It's good stuff. Obviously, this was at. Was it? Can you stop, please? She's already at it. She's at it. Resistance was one of those quote unquote Halo killers that like Sony was trying to shepherd, with alongside like Killzone and Haze. Remember Haze?
Oh, that's brutal.
Except Resistance is probably the best one out of all of them. Like I think Killzone's fine. Killzone's entirely like that's okay. Haze was dog shit, straight doo-doo feces. And Resistance is its own thing, and it's wonderful. It's so good. I love the idea of pulling this back. Insomniac sucks because they constantly post on social media about Resistance. And there was like a period in time where like it was like, oh, are they gonna do anything? Oh, is it gonna happen? And then the leaks showed that nope, this is a Marvel studio now, and they're just gonna make Marvel games from here on out. And it's like,
which is so disappointing.
It is really disappointing.
It does suck.
Yeah. Okay, so but why? Why Resistance?
I feel like there's been a bit of a resurgence in, and it's not necessarily horde shooters, because Resistance was never a horde shooter, and some of the games I'm going to talk about aren't technically horde shooters. They can be at times, but the sort of half grounded, half insane alien species combat thing has made a bit of a resurgence. You have Space Marine 2. And if I was to make a comp for what I would want a new Resistance game to be like, I think Space Marine 2 is great, like just blueprint to follow if you're going to make something like this. Helldivers 2 also, even Remnant. Yes, that's one. Remnant from the Ashes is a little bit more Souls-likey, but all three of them have that. The movement is very grounded. It's very heavy. And they have varying degrees of like how superhuman you are, I guess. But you're just fighting a bunch of brainless aliens, and it's been fun. People have made very fun games around that. So I think there is a space for it, especially if it gets the production level of what Sony usually puts out. I mean, Helldivers, it has an incredible production level, but obviously it's more of a multiplayer extraction shooter. Anyways, let me tell you how it would go down.
Okay. Yeah.
Let me tell you how we're bringing Resistance back. There's two options that I would say you could go with. Either have it during the same time period and just show us the stories of somebody else, because it was a huge invasion. I'm sure there was a lot of stuff happening in a lot of places. Like you said, set it in a different city, just like with Prototype. Just they did it in I believe Resistance 1 was England. I think maybe Resistance 2 was as well, and then Resistance 3 was in America. So yeah, you could globetrot a little bit. But I kind of think that you could set this back even further. I like the alt history that they took, but I was like, oh man, imagine if they did this in like the Industrial Revolution. Ooh. Like all of this new tech was coming out, and then an alien invasion happens. And I was thinking a little bit of, weirdly enough, The Order 1886. Oh, yeah. I don't know if you've played that.
I haven't, but like I watched my brother play it, and it's pretty cool.
Yeah, there a lot of good ideas in that game. Very unfinished, but a lot of really good ideas. And one of the cool things was like they had Nikola Tesla, essentially, like actually Nikola Tesla, making all these weird science weapons. And Nikola Tesla was a little bit after the Industrial Revolution, but if you could have like a stand-in science guy who's just doing crazy shit within the Industrial Revolution, and you're using that to fight the Chimera, I think that could be a pretty slick little format.
Shout out to games bringing in historical figures to give you bonus or like boosts or like upgrades. My favorite is Leonardo da Vinci in Assassin's Creed 2. Like I always thought that was so fucking cool, and it's like, of course he's gonna build me a tank during the Renaissance. This is gonna be sick.
Yeah. Anyways, you don't even need to. He doesn't even need to be a historical dude. It'd be cool if he was, but just like some guy who's well ahead of the curve in the Industrial Revolution fighting these aliens. I also think you kind of have to reboot it or set it in a different space, because nobody remembers what was happening in Resistance 1 and 2 and 3. Like, they were really good games. I think the story is pretty solid, but I don't think anybody truly remembers. And not enough people played the Resistance games. Resistance 3 sold fairly poorly.
Yeah.
I think there was a thing in like the first week it sold 180K.
Yeah, it sold
And
bad.
a couple weeks after, there was like a Gears of War game that sold 3 million. It's like, yeah, it's very. It was Resistance 2 apparently did pretty well, but I do want Insomniac working on it. I know they're not,
Mhm.
but I would love if they were.
Wolverine
Because
is
I think
now
they need to-
canceled. All focus,
exactly.
all resources are now being shifted towards Resistance. Blah blah blah. Insert like generic.
The crazy thing is, I
subtitle.
wouldn't even hate that much. I do want Wolverine, but I don't know, man.
That's fair.
A new Resistance game. I would say that Wolverine does seem to be them returning to serious projects a little bit, but I feel like there's so much they could still do with Resistance, and I always loved that as part of their portfolio. It kind of stood out a little bit. I just really do think they need to re-diversify what they're doing. They're just a Marvel studio at this point.
Yeah.
And I like Marvel stuff, but yeah. Oh yes, I want some body horror stuff. If you search this up, if you search up Resistance 1 Fall of Man promo, you'll see that they had these like fake flyers that they were putting out as promo for the game, and they look creepy as shit. There's a bunch of like children that are half chimera.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
It's
fucking
very Dead
sick,
Space of them.
dude.
Yeah. Very cool imagery that I feel like didn't get its due on the games, because this is kind of the era of brown ugly games.
Oh yeah, dude. This game looks like
if we're being honest.
fucking
It looks like butt, dude.
smeared
It looks
Vaseline.
So bad.
Like it's
yeah, it looks so terrible. Like a modern technology, like I feel like would transform the world of these games. And yeah, slightly more horde elements. I wouldn't say full horde shooter, but I think you can leverage some of the stuff that they did in like Days Gone with the amount of enemies that they had on screen.
Yeah.
Space Marine, like I said.
The power of, if this realistically got made, be a PS6 game, the power of the PS6.
Hell yeah.
That'd be crazy.
The PS6 Pro.
The PS6 Pro would be awesome.
Exactly. Yeah, I feel like I talked about most of the reasons I want it back. I also love the fact that I had co-op. A lot of games in the PS3 era had some kind of optional co-op mode, but the full campaign was co-op. Love that. And yeah. I'm a huge fan of Resistance 3. They finally put Resistance 1 and 2 on PlayStation Plus. I am gonna go back and play those at some point.
But it's still through the streaming though, isn't it?
Yeah.
Which kind of sucks.
Which is a bummer. Yeah.
Sort
I might emulate it.
dude.
Who knows?
Yeah. No, you legally play it.
Yeah, I'll legally play it on my
PlayStation.
PS3. Yeah. On my real PlayStation 3. I do still have my PlayStation.
You could.
And Resistance 3 is still on there, but
you're gonna boot that thing up,
of,
and then it's gonna do like 15 updates.
Explode.
And oh god, you don't want to do that. I love this though, dude. Yeah, Resistance is so special. I played I only played the third one. I have all the games, and I meant to play through the entire series, but I just never did, because for the same reason that I just described, I don't want to plug my PS3 in to do all that. These games are very much like Halo, and like Halo has co-op as well. Like that's what kind of Halo established, and like these are like one of the splinters from like what Halo established. And when I had Halo when I was a little kid, I was like super little when I played Halo. I always like wanted to play something like it, but we just never had an Xbox. So I was like, forever, Halo was like a long distant memory, and it was like, okay, so what do we got? Let's have Halo at home, and it was Resistance. But Halo at home was not the great value brand, dude. Resistance was fucking sick.
Exactly.
It was tight. Like
Resistance is sick, dude.
It's good stuff. And of the Sony PlayStation franchises to bring back, that is most certainly like top 3 for sure. Like,
oh yeah,
that's good stuff, man. I like that choice. That's very much you. Yeah, I guess for me.
Yeah.
Well, are you satisfied? Is that everything?
I have some trivia.
Oh yes.
I have 2 pieces of trivia, and they're both real.
Hit me.
Imagine that.
Let's do this.
So, the first one, there was a controversy with the original Resistance game where Sony got sued. Not got sued. They almost got sued by the Church of England.
Really?
Yes, because there's a scene in Resistance 1 where you fight chimeras inside the Manchester Church, and First of all, they were like, this is desecration.
Wow. Okay.
They were like, this is copyright infringement and this is desecration. And you are like, it's a weird scene to watch because it is like, oh, it's a place of worship.
Mm-hmm.
That is true. It's a real church in Manchester, and they're just shooting up little alien dudes.
Yeah, whatever.
But they also got especially mad because it was glorifying weapons in an area where gun violence was apparently a big problem.
Oh,
So this is from a BBC.
Okay.
Yeah, this is from a BBC article. The Bishop of Manchester, the Right Reverend Nigel McCulloch,
Okay.
which is that seems very Irish. It has to be Irish. Describe the Nigel. His name's Nigel. Is that? I feel like that's pretty. Is that Irish or is that British? I actually don't know.
I feel
Now I'm
like that's
confusing
more.
myself.
I feel like that's more British, but that last name is certainly Irish.
Yeah,
This is coming from someone who's not even remotely Irish, so I couldn't tell you.
Yeah, I feel like I don't have to say that, but same. Anyways, so that guy described the decision to feature the city's cathedral as highly irresponsible, especially in light of Manchester's history of gun crime. It's well known that Manchester has a gun crime problem, he said. For a global manufacturer to recreate one of our great cathedrals with photorealistic quality, I don't know about that, and then encourage people to have gun battles in the building is beyond belief and highly irresponsible.
Sure. Okay. Sure.
Okay, boomer.
Yeah, no, like it's. That's fine.
Honestly, I kind of get it.
I kind of get it too.
I kind of get
like, it's at the same time, it's like, dude, these are aliens. It's not like you're like massacring people, but it's whatever. You know, this is a guy who probably like saw Mario and was like, it's so real, like the 8-bit Mario. So it's like, it's whatever. It's fine.
Yeah,
that's funny.
Yeah,
that's crazy.
Understandable enough. The other piece of trivia: the protagonist of Resistance 1 and Resistance 2, Nathan Hale, is named after a real-life American soldier who's been deemed the state hero of Connecticut. He conducted an intelligence gathering mission in the American Revolutionary War. He was captured while undercover, and he was set to be executed by British forces. He has very famous last words. Do you know what they are? Very famous last words. Some of the most famous last words.
I mean, the first thing that pops in my head is the join or die. The fucking the like the Ben Frank, that was Ben Franklin though. That was like the snake that eventually became like the don't tread on me kind of thing.
Listen, I'm
you are not American. You
I'm
don't know
in New York now. I'm mainly Canadian. I don't know any American history. It's so bad.
I can't say. I don't know.
His last words were, "I only regret that I have but one life to lose for my country."
That's fire.
It is fire.
It is fire.
I've overlaid the little the meme of the dude writing.
Yes, dude, that's sick.
That's hot shit, dude. His inclusion in this series, especially considering, and this is why I spoiled it earlier. So he dies at the end of Resistance 2, and you play as the guy who killed him in Resistance 3. He was infected by the Chimera virus, and so he that's why he died.
Mm-hmm.
But he was somewhat immune during his time that he was infected, and so they reverse engineered a vaccine through his blood. So he's also the reason that the invasion ends ultimately. So his inclusion in the series, considering his blood upon his death is used to create a vaccine, is a way to fictionally give his life for his country a second time.
That's so cool.
Which I think is
so cool, dude. Holy shit.
Yeah, I think that's pretty sick.
Oh my god, I'm like, I had an appreciation for Resistance before this, but I have like even more of an appreciation now. Like I love shit like that, dude. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Cool.
Anyways, that's my little trivia corner. We can go back to you got your second one here, right?
Yes, I do.
I'm excited. I'm gonna guess it again.
You were not gonna guess this one, but I'm gonna say
okay.
Asad, what is the powerhouse of the cell?
The mitochondria.
Right. And so what if, hypothetically, what if there was a game that was centered around the idea of the mitochondria gaining sentience? And what if this was a game that was released by Squaresoft in 1997? was it 1998? One of those years.
Is this the one where you play as like this? No, this isn't the Evolution game, is it?
The Evolution game? What do you mean?
There's that game where you I think you play through like starting as like a single-celled organism, and you no.
This is a JRPG released for the PlayStation 1, made by the creators of Final Fantasy. And this, I'm just gonna like guess a name. Just guess a name.
Oh, this is, why would you do this? Why would you give me a JRPG to guess?
I don't know.
I don't know.
I'm just like that.
Oh, dude.
Okay.
In 1996, you said?
97 or 98. I'm gonna let you guess the title here. Okay. What is an invasive organism? Like an organism that relies on another
Parasite.
Okay, parasite.
Parasite Eve is something else, right?
You got it.
Oh, okay.
Let's go.
It's Parasite Eve.
Parasite Eve.
Okay.
So I have a video about this. The original PlayStation, the PlayStation 1, revolutionized horror in a way that many don't recognize. All right. It was a machine that allowed developers like Capcom and Konami to make Resident Evil and make Silent Hill the way that they did. Like, that era is revolutionary to how horror is today. I mean, you look at Resident Evil now. Resident Evil has huge stakes in pop culture. Like, it was more than a game. It became more than that. And so that's the first video that ever popped off on my channel. Fun fact. Like, it was all about that. It was good stuff. That video is a little rough today, but so it's no surprise that developers all across the world would want their piece of the survival horror pie, and one of those developers was Squaresoft, the creators of the Final Fantasy franchise. Parasite Eve is a horror JRPG developed by Squaresoft during this time. Meant to be a competitor towards other survival horror games at the time, Parasite Eve is a follow-up to a Japanese horror novel of the same name. The idea centers around this real life theory. This is baked in science, that the mitochondria could theoretically be its own organism, which is really cool. It's really fun to think about. In this book, the mitochondria has been waiting it's been waiting all throughout history and evolution for the perfect conditions for it to basically evolve and become its own sentient life form and take on its true potential. And so this life form is known as Eve, and it possesses exclusively female hosts. So in the book, it possesses this random Japanese woman that's on her deathbed or something like that. And then so the Japanese woman is erased as a character, and then Eve basically becomes her, and she's controlling people's minds and making people ignite in flames, basically essentially controlling the mitochondria in their bodies, which is really cool. It's a really fun idea. So, though the game is a sequel to the book, it follows the original story loosely, but is primarily its own thing. I think you play as the daughter of one of the protagonists in the book. The story takes place in New York City, 1997. You play as police officer Aya Brea, I don't know how to say it exactly, over a 6-day span as she attempts to stop Eve, who is hellbent on eradicating the human race, as you do. As you explore New York City with these cool liminal PS1 levels, you get to experience a pretty cool real-time combat system that is a slight departure from Square's usual active turn-based combat systems seen within Final Fantasy. But the aesthetics of this game are off the rails. I love the 90s. I especially love the idea of 90s New York. Aya is a really cool character, and this soundtrack is orgasm in audio form, dude. That's some good stuff, man. So yeah, that's my game.
I'll take your word for it. I haven't heard it. I'm watching it play out right now.
Yeah. We'll cut this. I want Asad's watching a trailer right now.
Oh, we don't have to. I'm actually not even watching a trailer. I threw on a 4-hour video about it and just kind of scrolled to the middle. I don't know why.
Watch the intro.
Shout out to, I finished a video game. I actually I got a chance to chat with him.
Oh, really?
Somewhat recently, and I didn't realize this was his video until I mentioned that I was watching a 4-hour video, and I looked at it and it was him.
That's awesome.
Anyways, this is different. I was not when you said JRPG, I was expecting
a party system.
I was expecting, I was expecting Chrono Trigger or not Resident Evil, Final Fantasy. This is interesting.
It is. It's
I see. This makes a lot more sense for you than Prototype. I'll say that much. And I think you could easily see a reboot of this.
Yeah. In fact,
this has potential.
There were talks of it. Like there was literally like, this was years ago. I think like 2 to 3 years ago, where like Square Enix is in talks of maybe doing something with Parasite Eve, and it's like, cool. Nothing. Absolutely nothing. So why? Like I said, dude, like I didn't grow up with this game at all. I found this game many years later, and I just thought it was cool. In many ways, it's kind of passed by now, but there's a bit of a survival horror renaissance going on as of late. I mean, Resident Evil's comeback has been incredible. Silent Hill is starting to get its feet once again, and there's like indie horror games that are coming out all the time, like Mouthwashing and like Crow Country. Like those always do relatively well. Now, Parasite Eve isn't necessarily horror in the way that, like, say, Dead Space is. It kind of leans more into, like, the campy horror side of things, but I feel as if that can also work in its favor. So many horror games now take themselves too seriously, and so it'd be nice to get, like, a cool horror action romp that feels like a playable 90s horror movie, especially since, like, the 90s Y2K aesthetic is more popular than ever. There's something here. Like truly, like you said, like this, I feel like this is like a kind of like a niche pull that could end up working out. But I just, like, give me some thoughts.
Yeah, I've just been watching it play out like while you've been talking. First of all, I'm surprised that I don't know more about this game. I've heard the name. Mm-hmm. I've heard people mention it. I guess I don't think there was any sequels or anything, right? It's
there
just
were
like a standalone. There were. Okay.
There was.
Weird.
So there's Parasite Eve. And then there's Parasite Eve 2, which is also on the PlayStation 1. I haven't played it. I've kind of seen videos about it. I'm actually really interested in playing it. But the last entry came out on the PSP in 2011.
Okay.
But it wasn't called Parasite Eve. They lost the name Parasite Eve. And they're like,
what was it called?
It's called The Third Birthday, where you play as the same character. And it's a third person shooter on the PSP. It's actually really cool. It's pretty sick, but they basically were like, okay, so let's try and make something here without. It was like they made their own knockoff version of Parasite Eve, and it's Square Enix, the same company. Like, it was very strange.
It's weird.
Listen, dude.
I feel like they make some strange decisions.
They make really strange.
That's part of their whole MO.
100%.
No, this is something that I think has a home in the modern day. I think the way that it was clearly like evolving the way that at least from looking at the footage here, like it was evolving what a JRPG could be with that. You said it was real-time combat, but there's like, did you say there were elements of turn-based in there?
Yeah. So you basically how it plays. Let me try and find a good way of explaining this. So instead of like, turn-based, you're on one side of the screen, the enemy's on the other side of the screen, you press attack and it does that. Instead, you have a 3D plane to walk around. You can walk around the enemy as it's progressively trying to attack you. You're locked in like a battle stage with it basically, and it's moving around, getting closer to you, and it's also doing its attacks. And you kind of have to like wait for your meter to charge up, and then you press X and you shoot it with a gun. But you also have a menu like a JRPG. So it's like you can go to items, you can look at stats, you can kind of like go over this, but you also have like magic in a way too. Like you have biological magic that you can do. So it's like, oh, health spell, fucking fire, you just ignite a rat on fire and good stuff. So it was a very like strange departure. And in many ways, it was kind of like Square Enix's like break out from turn-based. So it's also really like historically, it's really cool there. I think it's the same. I don't know if you know this game, but it's the same combat system seen in Vagrant Story, which is it's a very like Final Fantasy like esque game in its own way.
Yeah, another one I've like heard of, but I only really know in passing. I feel like modern day though, people are trying to stretch JRPGs a little bit more, especially with one of the biggest JRPG franchises going right now in Final Fantasy, going full action RPG with Final Fantasy 16, and then the kind of in between system that they have for 7 remake and rebirth. I don't know. I feel like this kind of fits in perfectly in that mold.
Yeah.
Do you have would you want like the original develop? I don't know what the original development team is doing, if they're even around.
It's so Square Enix is really weird, to where it's just like it's very Nintendo like, where it's just like this is all just under one umbrella, and there's like definitely like sub studios that are like making stuff in there, but like we don't really know that much about the studios, or at least like not like off the cuff, you know. Like I think Square Enix has creative business unit 1 through like 5. It's like, oh,
Yeah.
real creative guys, a good job. I mean, this kind of even plays into how I would want this game to play and to come out. The game that I have in mind so these games are very connected for a lot of different reasons, but the game that I have in mind that I'd want this to emulate is Final Fantasy VII Remake, and how that game has come up, because I want a full remake / reboot of this game. I don't necessarily want it to have like crazy story like changes like it does in Remake. But the full Final Fantasy VII Remake treatment on this really niche horror franchise is something that I think would look gorgeous and would accurately capture. And I'd want it to accurately capture the spirit of the 90s in New York City during Christmas time, like snow falling, business streets, impossibly large buildings. Like I want this to be a mix of like a third person shooter, like a traditional like Resident Evil kind of lean over the shoulder shooter, but with real time tactical combat, like how it is in Final Fantasy VII Remake, where you get your little menu pop up and you can kind of like select your options, like your items, your spells, and all that stuff. So I feel like there's a way to accurately translate this in a way that makes it distinct from other horror games, while also leaning into the JRPG side of it as well. Now, this game should be linear. I don't want it to. There are like, you technically have the option to explore New York in the original game, where it's like a big zoom out of the city, and it's like, where do you want to go? The police station, Central Park, this place right here. I still think you can do that, like a level selection, just not. I don't want the entirety of New York in this game. You know, like I want New York to feel impossibly big, you know? Like I want you to look up at a building and be like, there's no way like I could ever go there, but maybe it's possible, you know? I want relatively linear, large explorable areas that you can always go back to, though. The sewers, Central Park, the Opera House, etc. The last thing that needs to happen is that they have to use the name Parasite Eve. You can't, that's too good of a name, dude. That name fucks.
Dude, what about the 4th birthday?
It's the 3rd birthday, all right?
No, the next one's gonna be the 4th one.
Oh, that's fair.
Everyone's gonna be like, I guess it was like a Bound 2 situation. I don't know if you did this, but I genuinely, like, when I heard Bound 2, I spent way too long looking for Bound 1.
That's so funny. Dude.
I was like, where is it?
I just didn't care. I was like, so I'd want this game to be solely made in-house by Square Enix. I don't think you can send it off to like another studio, and I'm sure they could do something good, but I feel like they gave it their own special attention and care. There's something truly remarkable here that could reach out into the mainstream horror scene in a big way. So that's where I'm at. I'm going to pull out some trivia. Or actually, do you have any other thoughts? Or
my thoughts are mainly that, like, I think this actually has a decent shot of happening. I think you see this in... I mean, I don't know. I wouldn't put a timeline on it, but Japanese games have been getting revisited very randomly over the last 5 years. The most obscure shit. Like, I mean, obviously Okami wasn't obscure, but like that randomly getting a sequel announcement. A lot of Sega stuff, Shinobi,
Onimusha.
like Onimusha, Ninja Gaiden's back. Friggin' I think it was Konami, their like Getsufumaden game from the 90s or something.
Suikoden. Is that what you're thinking?
No, I think that was different. Getsufumaden is like another series. I know that's what the name of it is.
You just totally butchered the name Suikoden.
No. Getsufumaden is that was like the first I think that was the first game that I was given to review.
Oh, really?
They made like a remake of it, and they were like, "Hey, make this." It was like kind of cool. It used this like old Japanese art style.
Yeah.
Gameplay wasn't great, but anyways, the most random thing to be revived, and like a team randomly made it. So I think there's a chance. I think it can exist in the current climate, and I think you can make that a linear game.
Yeah.
I don't think you could make the prototype thing. You wanted it to be linear, or you wanted it to be maybe not linear, but
An open world
a
sandbox,
little more
basically.
enclosed. A sandbox, but in terms of like the story mode, you wouldn't want it to be like this big.
Oh yeah.
Right, yeah. And I just think that if you're gonna go with a city, it has to, especially if it's gonna be New York, it's got to basically be a Spider-Man-esque big open world, lots of random activities,
Mhm.
which you probably wouldn't want in a prototype game. So I think what you pitched there, just nobody would go for that. I like how I'm pretending like this is actually any of this is gonna go through any real process. And again, as Mr. Business, looking at this as a potential venture, I think this one's got some legs to it.
For sure.
I think we see it. I would be pretty excited for it. I mean, I just figured out about this like 10 minutes ago, but it sounds sick.
It'd be cool.
I don't know.
It'd be cool, and I feel like it would have a chance, but we'll see. There's a reason why we're here and not there. So,
all right,
trivia.
I want to hear some information about this.
So I say that Final Fantasy VII and Parasite Eve are connected in a way, and they kind of are. Did you know the original setting for Final Fantasy VII during its very like early conceptual stages was to take place in New York City, and it was Cloud as a cop trying to track down and stop Genova, which Genova is the alien in Final Fantasy VII, like the Eldritch kind of horror situation. Obviously, this did not come to fruition, but this idea is obviously it evolved into what we all know as Parasite Eve, where you play as a New York City cop trying to stop a freak of nature. So just thought that was really cool, really interesting.
It's pretty cool, yeah.
This alternate reality.
All of your trivia facts are just a game became a different game.
No, pretty much, yeah.
I've noticed. Yeah.
This alternate reality where Final Fantasy VII was set in New York, though, it just is like, that's so interesting to me. And that is so not what I love about Final Fantasy at all.
Yeah.
That like I don't even
I can't even imagine how that would have worked.
It's insane.
I guess there's a reason why they like turned it into something completely different.
Dude, Midgar wouldn't exist. It would just be New York City. It's like that city's so cool and iconic. But all right. Holy shit. Okay. I'm gonna go off something. Okay. So you know how much of Final Fantasy VII do you know? Do you know the part where they drop the plate on like the lower class citizens?
No.
Okay. There's a part in the story. So I'm gonna fucking nerd out real quick.
Okay. Right.
Midgar, the city.
I'll allow it.
There's an upper plate. Then there's the bottom. The bottom is like the slums. It's literally like a visual representation of like the class discrepancy there, where it's like the rich are up here, they're on the bottom. There's literally 9/11 in Final Fantasy VII, where they're like, oh, there's a terrorist group in the slums. Let's just drop the plate. Let's just drop an entire city, like section of the city. It's like, think of like a pizza slices.
Yeah.
An entire slice of pizza just drops on another, on the poor, basically, killing absolutely everyone there. And the idea of Final Fantasy VII taking place in New York and the exact same thing happening is kind of funny.
Jesus Christ.
That's just me, though.
I mean, that was before.
That was before.
What was that? Yeah.
In fact, dude, I mean, this was one of the bits of trivia that, like, so there's like promotional material with the Twin Towers in the background of it, because it's the 90s, obviously.
Yeah.
But there's also I don't know if it was a trailer, if it's in like the intro. There's a plane in between like the buildings of New York, like, and it's like, oh, that's funny. Oh, this is a world, and this is like a forever changing like a scenario, like a situation right here. That's funny.
Yeah, that's that would have been one of those things, because I remember Deus Ex.
Yeah.
I think Deus Ex came out 2000, and they didn't have the Twin Towers in there. And people were like, oh my God, they predicted 9/11. It's like, no, they were just too big, so they didn't have space on the disc.
Yeah, no, totally.
To make it.
I love shit like that, dude. It's just like,
that would have been a crazy, like, 5 years ago, dude, they predicted it. Some random guy in Japan predicted 9/11.
What did they know? All right, so that's it for Parasite Eve.
Man.
Tell me, Hit me with this next game of yours.
This next game, okay. Now, I did actually accidentally. This is actually the most recent in terms of the final entry in this franchise.
Okay.
The last actual game I was only allowed to put in here because we changed it to 2014, because there was a 2014 game. And there's been, I think, one spin-off since on like a portable device. And then there's been one DLC of another game that has featured this.
Hold on. I know what it is.
What is it?
I have this on my list though.
Do you?
Yeah. It's Castlevania.
Wait, really? It is Castlevania.
What the fuck?
Wait, Isaac lied to us.
What? Oh.
Okay,
all right.
For context.
Yeah.
We gave our friend one job. We gave him one job to do. You tell us if we have an overlap.
Yeah.
We were fine with an overlap. We were like, we should know. We'll work at it. This is actually kind of cool that we both have one in here.
Yeah, no, this is my last game. So
but he looked through and he was like, yeah, I don't think there's any overlap, which is crazy because we gave him 3 games each.
Yeah,
no,
that's
3 games.
It's funny. It's funny. That's good. Okay. All right.
That's awesome.
Asad.
All right.
What,
okay, hold on.
What is a man?
Oh, I forget it. I forget the quote, dude.
Wait, why am I blanking on the quote too right now?
Because when you said it, I thought of the Andrew Ryan quote.
Oh,
is a man not entitled to the sweat on his brow? That was the first thing that came to mind. But what is a man?
He's a miserable little pile of secrets.
That pile of yes, that's
good
the
shit,
one.
man.
I was like, is that a pile of flesh? Something.
That like listen,
yeah,
that's like Japanese kind of like translation mumbo jumbo right there. Unironically goes hard as fuck though. That is that's some good shit.
Oh yeah, that is some good shit. I'm gonna say, I think we save this one then. I think we say I'll go to my other one.
Okay.
And then we can both discuss Castlevania as the last one.
That's fair.
Okay, so I'm gonna move on to the third one that I had.
Okay.
This is my oldest one. This game has no sequels. It's a single game, and it came out in 1995 on the Sega Genesis.
Are there reboots or no? I mean like remasters, remakes.
Not that I know of.
Oh, this isn't even like it's not. Can you play this on a PS5 right now?
No.
Fuck, dude.
I played this on like a. I think they were like reselling
the mini
Sega Genesis with like
yeah,
the mini version. Yeah. So I played this on that. I would technically it's not even a franchise. It's a game, but I would love to see it come back. It's a side-scrolling beat 'em up.
Side-scrolling beat 'em up.
That was on the Sega Genesis, 1995.
Okay, so side-scrolling beat 'em ups. There's Streets of Rage and there's Golden Axe, but those have sequels. Is this Altered Beasts?
No. The story of this game was that you were a writer and an artist who's depressed, and then one day a bolt of lightning takes the villain from your creation and brings him to life, and he traps you in the comic book that you were making. And you now have to escape, and he's drawing in the villains that you have to fight.
Oh, this is Alan Wake.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Fuck it, I have no clue. I don't know.
Comics Zone. That's comics with an X, by the way. Comics Zone.
Comics Zone.
Yes, sir. Comics Zone. It's the most like Sega Genesis. You ever heard of Cool Spot?
No.
I think that was the game that was made off the Sprite logo or something. The Sprite logo, you know how it's just a red dot?
Yeah.
They made a video game after him called Cool Spot.
This is so cool.
I love the naming conventions from back then.
Yeah, no, that's funny shit.
I explained a little bit of the story. Very unique art style. It included paneling as part of the backgrounds and animations, so you could like swing across like the white part of the paneling to go into another panel.
That's
You could
so
break
cool.
through the panel, like you could like punch somebody, I think, through the panels and stuff like that. Um, and there's actually like a decent amount of puzzle aspects to it. Like it had this like unique thing where if you punched something that was like a wall, brick wall or something, you would take damage. You would like degrade it over time, but you would also take damage. And so you could brute force your way through certain sections, but if you went down a different path in the paneling or you found secret panels, you would be able to circumvent that, and that helped with like replayability, it helped with keeping yourself alive. It was a notoriously incredibly difficult game. Yeah, so there were definitely some puzzle aspects in the fighting, in the way that you like traversed everything. It's so cool. I This game was like this really stood out. Of all the games that I played on that mini Genesis, this is the one that stays fresh in my mind.
This is insane. This is I have never heard of this game before this. I was just looking at the video of it now. That is insane. This looks like a game that came out today. Like that was
Yeah,
like trying to emulate like a Sega
yeah.
Genesis kind of style. Um my god. Great pull.
It's beautiful. I mean, it featured multiple Filipino comic artists
Yeah.
who worked on Marvel and DC as well. Um, Really cool shit. It came out. I think it came out after the Sega Saturn was actually out, but then they had games that they were still working on that were built for the Genesis, and they were really trying to like push those out. Because a couple of years after, the team that made it, Sega Technical Institute, just no longer existed.
Damn.
Um, but obviously, in terms of the pitch, you would assume that I'm gonna go with somebody who makes beat 'em ups,
Hmm.
like the guys who made Streets of Rage or something. I'm sure they would do a great job. But I want to go a little bit funkier with it because that's too easy of an option. And the two studios, they're both indie studios that I think would do a really good job, are Sabotage Studio, which they're responsible for Sea of Stars and The Messenger,
Oh, nice.
and the other is the Game Kitchen, who did Blasphemous, and they're doing that new Ninja Gaiden game.
Hmm.
It's not out yet when we're recording
It
this,
looks sick.
but it looks great. Yeah, if they had just made Blasphemous, I probably wouldn't have I wouldn't have included them in this. But the way that they're going about the Ninja Gaiden game, I'm very interested in, and I think they could pull something like this off.
Yeah.
Obviously, both of them are specializing in retro indies. They have a good handle on side scrolling, and one of them is collaborating with a major publisher on kind of a dormant franchise. I think that we're going to see a lot more indie studios start to take on these old side scroller projects, which I think is really fun. Basic formula, I think, should be the same. Like you said, it looks like a game that came out right now. I think it would blow people's minds even today.
Yeah.
Uh, I'd love to see more environmental interaction. There's a lot of really cool looking backgrounds that pay homage to the way that comic backgrounds are made. But if you could have like a little bit more interactability because they're fairly static, that'd be pretty sick. I also think a huge new addition that they could have is the ability to make your own drawings and incorporate them into
That's
this.
sick.
And I don't even necessarily mean like you could go full AR with it and like actually draw stuff out, but you could probably do a thing where I had this idea where your character would go through, and the more enemies you defeat, the more you like learn how to draw them essentially, and then you can mix and match different elements of different body parts of the different enemies that you fought into little allies for yourself. And if you could figure out some kind of mechanic for quickly putting them together and dropping them in and having like presets and stuff like that, uh I think that could add a lot of really interesting, like, just strategy
Yeah.
and dynamism to the combat and to the puzzles.
I feel like it could be a little bit of like its own kind of tool set. Like a bit of like a Super Mario Maker kind of thing. Where like imagine
Yeah.
you could make these levels and then you post them. And there's just like this whole like forge mode for this game,
Yeah.
Comic zone, God,
Yeah, because there's a game, I think it's called Scribblenauts.
Yeah.
And it's that's the like free form, you like draw stuff and it comes to life,
Mhm.
and yeah. This wouldn't exactly be like that. It would have a lot more constraints, obviously, but it's more level focused and side scrolling focused. But I think incorporating stuff like that would be really, really great. Um, Also essentially drawing out. Ooh.
Just punched my microphone.
I would also love the ability to like draw yourself out of situations.
Yeah.
I had this mental image of like, when like there's scenes uh in movies, shows, whatever, where the walls are closing in on somebody and they have to escape. If you could draw a tunnel essentially underneath you to get down to the panel
That's
below you,
awesome.
or like a huge wave of people is coming at you, and you could even interact with like the world, the above world, so to speak. A bunch of people are coming at you, and there's some kind of ink cartridge or something on the side. If you can pull at the edges of the comic and get the ink to spill all over the enemies, and then they just disappear because you just like went up. Like there's so many cool little things that you could do with that idea. Um, I would love that. And uh, you know, in terms of like, would it be a reboot? Would it be a prequel? I don't think it really matters.
No.
I just want the ideas that were in this game to come back. It wouldn't be a major release. I don't think it wouldn't be like a AAA thing or anything. It would be indie, but I think it could be really successful as an indie under the right studio, essentially. Yeah, in terms of why I want it back, this is a very unique game. The only game that I could find that was or at least somewhat similar to what it was doing is Beautiful Joe.
Oh yeah.
Uh, I haven't played that game, but I know a lot of people love that one. But even that one isn't. It
It's
doesn't commit to it as hard as this one
no, no,
does.
no. That's just
Yeah.
more because like it has like
Uh,
a comic aesthetic to it.
yeah. There is like a really hackneyed, terrible version of it on Steam, like a new game that is trying to emulate this. It's called Comics Zero, which I don't understand how that isn't some kind of copyright infringement, but I guess the studio's gone and it's been 20 plus
Yeah.
years, so I don't know. It looks really bad. It's it looks asset flipped, partially AI generated, and the paneling none of it feels like it needs to be there. They just took aesthetic inspiration from it but didn't bother to do any of the cool mechanical stuff that game was doing.
Yeah. Oh.
Yeah, it's a little rough.
Oh. I mean,
Yeah.
it's probably like a student game or something like that. So I don't want to judge it too
Yeah,
hard, but
I mean,
it's that, yeah, that infinitely less cooler.
I mean, they're putting it out on Steam and stuff like that. I feel like at that point,
Yeah.
if you're making announcement trailers and stuff like that, there's probably some money going into this. I doubt it's a student project. Yeah. I don't know if you have any thoughts, but that's my pitch. I think
I
it could
love
be really
this.
cool with today's tech.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The right studio, the right creative minds behind this idea. That could be something special. That I feel like that'd be like a the next like indie hit, you know. Um Very like I don't know why like Pizza Tower is like the thing that's coming to me right now, where it's just like I
Because my little dude,
a little bit,
who's sitting
a little
back
bit, that little guy back there. But I feel like it kind of hit very similarly to like that right there. Even if yeah, like the names, honestly, dude, I think the only thing holding this back is just the name.
Yeah, the name's kind
That's
of
a bad name.
Yeah, it's not a good name.
If you could just take this idea and then just completely like morph it into something similar but different and more catered towards like in the indie scene, this could be phenomenal. I love this
Yeah.
idea. That's such a great poll. Fucking I'm down. I'm sold.
Yeah, this was the one that I said that you wouldn't have been able
Yeah,
to
no,
get.
no,
I was
no,
like, I'd be
no
shocked
way.
if you heard of this game and there's no way you'd guess it.
Could you imagine?
very
I just guess and I'm like, oh,
Yeah.
Comic Zone?
I say 1995 and you're like, oh, of course.
Yeah, yeah.
It's got to be Comic Zone. No other games came out that year.
I love that. Give me some. Do you have trivia?
I'll do some trivia.
Yeah.
I got a little trivia. Despite its fairly obscure nature, Comic Zone is apparently getting a movie adaptation.
Like today?
This was announced in 2022,
What?
and I will bet $1,000 that it never gets mentioned again. There's no way, because Sega was making a few movies off of some of their properties. I think off the back of the Sonic is really successful. Um,
Mhm.
and so they just announced a bunch of projects, and this was one of them. There's just no way this gets made. It's supposed to revolve around an older and younger comic artist who gets sucked into their creation and have to find a way to escape. That's all we know about the movie. That's probably all we'll ever know about the movie. Like that, I don't think that movie gets made.
Dude, that even that's that's so like the idea of why it's cool is because it's a game. Like it's a playable
Yeah,
comic
exactly.
book.
Like
Who gives a shit? Uh,
when you spell it out loud what the story is, it's like, well, that's just comic Jumanji, is that not?
yeah, no, literally.
I mean, I know the Jumanji movies did well, but yeah, it just feels so useless. And I would love if they just put either a remake, a remaster, or a new game would be incredible. But yeah, the whole point of this is like it's cool because it's a game. If it was a movie, it's like the story wasn't the linchpin of all this.
No.
And I mean, what, you're gonna put it as a comic? The whole point was that it was a comic. Like, yeah,
I feel like even if this movie does like come to pass, like do something with the game. Like you at least do something, you know?
I think I had one more piece of trivia here. I couldn't actually find an exact source on this. I just saw some people talking about it, so take this with a grain of salt. But apparently, they're actually I found this out after I wrote my whole pitch and everything. But apparently they actually did mess around with the idea of having some interactivity with the game where you would maybe draw something and it would become part of it. But it was phased out very early in the production process, and they just knew that they wouldn't have the time or budget for it. But it would have been crazy if they were able to pull that off back then.
That would have been insane.
I don't
that-
even know. I can't even imagine how that would have worked.
If it worked, that would have been revolutionary. Probably.
Yeah.
Like that's insane.
It's hard to imagine doing that now.
Yeah. That's why it was so novel with like Scribble Knots, you know? Like,
Yeah.
damn. That's so cool, dude. I love shit like that. So now
All right.
we return.
Now we got to get to we're back to Castlevania.
Castlevania.
Which we did not realize we both had.
But I love, you know what? We're going long anyways. So it's like having a last game to go back to this. I feel like this makes sense. Castlevania is one of the seminal Konami franchises ever made. It's very popular during the NES cartridge era of video games. The games typically center around. Oh, actually, I was going to show you guys. I got the first game vinyl on vinyl. It's really nice. Here's like the little.
Oh, that's sick.
The insert of it. It's the map of the first game.
Oh, that's awesome, dude.
I know, dude. It's good shit. So the games typically center around the Belmont family lineage, a bloodline dedicated to slaying the ethereal Count Dracula, who reappears every century or so with his iconic Gothic castle. Castlevania is in many ways one of the most important video game franchises ever made. Not only did it fit a horror adjacent niche in a time where such things were like seldom seen, it also helped establish one of the industry's favorite subgenres with the release of 1997's Castlevania Symphony of the Night. Of course, I'm talking about one of the best subgenres in gaming being Metroidvanias, which also Super Metroid was also responsible for that, hence the name Metroidvania. Why Castlevania? I want you to explain why you chose Castlevania, and then I'll explain why I chose Castlevania.
Okay.
Also, real quick, sorry. This is the thing. It's like a nice little purple.
That's beautiful.
It's pretty sick.
I love it. That is sick. My experience with Castlevania is interesting. I didn't engage with it much for a really long time, and then randomly, all of a sudden, I think it was before the first show that they made came out on Netflix. I just had the urge to go back and play something old, and I played Castlevania 1 and 3, 1, 3, 4, and Symphony of the Night.
Oh wow. Okay.
Those are the ones that I've played.
That's more than me, dude.
I've played I played a little bit of 2, but I rolled off that one kind of quick.
Fucking
that one's
crazy. That game is so
that one's weird.
obnoxiously like just mysterious. Like there's like so many things in that game that was like, how in the fuck was I supposed to do that? Like
yeah, 2
It's really
Two
cool though.
has like a yeah, two has a lot of things where people can't make up their mind whether it's a good or bad
Oh
game.
yeah.
Um, it's also like unfinished from what I
Mhm.
know. I played it a little bit and it just wasn't giving me the same thing that I was getting from Castlevania 1, and especially, like, going back and revisiting it, I was like, "You know what? I might skip this one." It's, like, kind of the black sheep as well. It's
Yeah.
it's a little bit different,
It's
so I
like
I skipped.
the Zelda 2 of well, I mean that was kind of like the thing with NES sequels was like here's the first game and then the sequel is an entirely different thing and it's
Yeah,
like it fits
exactly.
along that and then the third game is like okay here's a return to form, you know.
Yeah. But I think it's pretty, telling that even though the original games are very simple for the most part, and they feel their age, there's still this magnetism about them. I played through the entirety of 1 and 3, even though it's like sometimes there were some frustrating moments where the controls just
Those
weren't
those
working.
fucking Medusa heads, dude.
Yeah, even the way that the controls worked on the stairs, like climbing upstairs was weirdly frustrating because you had to hit like the diagonal angle
Yes.
at a very specific time. I remember that frustrated me a lot. But even through all of that, I guess that we're both just such big fans of gothic stuff, which is I mean that's what inspired the aesthetic of this
Yeah.
podcast. Um and Bloodborne and everything. I don't know if you watched the new Nosferatu movie,
I fucking
but
loved that movie, dude.
yeah,
Holy
dude.
shit.
Yeah, we got to talk about that at some point.
Yes, we do.
But Um, yeah, I think this is kind of ground zero for that in games, and it makes sense why I guess it makes sense why we both had it on our list. Um, and I just think it's time. I mean, it worked great in Dead Cells. I think this is a franchise that has so much. It's kind of timeless. It's doing so well on Netflix. It was doing poorly at a certain point, mainly because they were trying to go in all these different directions and trying to emulate other stuff. But I think there's always a home for Castlevania, and I also think there's only a matter of time until we get a new Castlevania. It's
Yeah,
just
me
like,
too.
how are we gonna get it, and how long is that tenure gonna last? I guess. But you can also tell me like your experience with the franchise
Yeah, no.
and why you want it back.
Um so there was a time like when I first started getting like I became a student of the games industry basically. Like I was like, oh, I need to learn everything about this, see everything that I've ever missed. And one of those games was, well, on a whim on my Switch, I was playing Super Metroid, and I was like, whoa, I love this. This is awesome. Like this is I never played a Metroidvania before that, and I was really into it. Uh, and so from there, the next stepping stone is Symphony of the Night. And I'm playing Symphony of the Night. I'm like, I love this even more. This is insane. This is incredible. Look at the animation. Look at the pixel art. This game's fucking beautiful. I'm so glad. Listen, Symphony of the Night came out in a time where that game could have been 3D. And I am so glad it didn't because I feel like in a way it kind of saved pixel art. Like it kept pixel art alive in a way where people still like appreciated it. Um and I mean pixel art would inevitably come back anyways because it was already established as an art form, but it kind of kept it alive in a way for a little bit
Yeah, I
longer.
mean, like, I think also the super highly detailed pixel art that we get now takes a lot of inspiration from there. I don't think you get I mean, I just mentioned Blasphemous.
Mhm.
I don't think you get Blasphemous without Castlevania. That's, like, the
Oh,
closest thing you probably
hell no.
have to Castlevania right now. Except for Bloodstained, but I don't know how you feel about Bloodstained.
I
I'm not
think
the biggest
it's
fan of it.
it's fine.
It's
It's
fine, yeah.
I don't like this is the thing. I don't like 2.5D. I think 2.5D is gross and ugly and it looks cheap. Um I think it's
I
like
think it can look good.
it can look good.
It can look good. Have you ever seen Replaced?
I haven't
It's not
actually.
out yet.
Oh wait, no,
It's
I
not
think
out
you
yet.
I think
It's
you've showed me
the
that game.
I think I've shown yeah, I've shown it to you. That game looks beautiful
Yeah,
as 2.5D.
yeah, it does.
Yeah.
But when I think of 2.5D, I think of Prince of Persia looks fine, but like the Lost Crown, like you can tell like there's like it just it's like this would look so much cooler if it was pixel art. I feel like almost every instance of 2.5D, I would say this would look better if it was pixel art, and I could appreciate it more for that. Which is like my problem with Bloodstained. I think Bloodstained looks, eh. in comparison.
Yeah, I really don't like the visual style of Bloodstained. I also feel like the mechanically it's not that great either. But
I barely played it, so I can't really say on that front.
yeah.
But so playing Symphony of the Night, I'm like, this is phenomenal. This is wonderful. I'm like a fan of this now. And so I watched the Netflix series. I loved it. It's good stuff. I still have yet to see Nocturne. I think Nocturne. I watched the first episode,
Same.
and I
Yeah.
thought it was like, this is really cool. But I just hadn't gotten around to it. Shout out to the first season of Castlevania, being so short and so cool and so like perfectly paced. That is some of the best video game TV I've ever seen. Love it.
Yeah.
Absolutely love it. I think the later seasons kind of drag on a little bit, but it's still good stuff. The fact that they have this TV show and then just decided to do nothing with the games is insane to me. It is absolutely insane. Like there's there's an absence here. Like what are you guys doing? Do you not see the potential
Dude,
here?
Castlevania is the reason I got back into Dead Cells. Like I didn't play Dead Cells for I think years, and then Castlevania came out on there. I was like, oh shit.
Yeah.
I get to play Castlevania stuff. Like,
That's-
let me go back, like, do something with this goddamn IP.
It's like, okay, cool. We'll put it in Dead Cells. That's awesome. Make a game, dude.
Make a game,
What?
dude.
Oh, best we can do is Vampire Survivors DLC. Okay, all right, dude. The absence of this game is like conspicuous as hell. But despite its absence, you can still feel Castlevania in games today. From Software, dude.
Oh yeah,
being the biggest of them
Yeah.
all. Like, you listen. You don't get Dark Souls without Symphony of the Night. You don't get
Yeah.
Bloodborne without
I mean Bloodborne. Yeah,
the gothic aesthetic. Dude, the fucking.
I have to assume the overlap between Castlevania and Bloodborne fans, as long as you've tried them both,
Yeah,
it's got to be huge.
I'm sure.
Yeah,
100%. They're like, it's, dude. Blood, and let's be honest. Like, Bloodborne's kind of the evolution of what Castlevania is. So it's like that. But Bloodborne's not here right now. So is Bloodborne in the room with us?
that if it had come out like a couple years earlier, it could have qualified for both.
When
of
you
us.
said this, my first thought was fucking. Look at this, dude. My first thought
I mean,
was
yeah.
Bloodborne. Like, that's honorable mentions list. Bloodborne.
Yeah, absolutely.
So From Software is like the biggest one to have like taken inspiration from this. Like, dude, there's the thing in Elden Ring, where you literally invert a castle in Elden Ring, just like
Yeah,
you do in Symphony
yeah.
of the Night. I was like, oh,
Yep.
no way! Like when I was playing it, dude, it was good stuff. But also, Metroidvanias are more popular than ever, dude. Animal Well, Blasphemous, Hollow Knight, like these.
Yeah,
This genre is taking off right now, and Metroid and Castlevania, they're both like Metroid Dread was fine and good. I actually like Metroid Dread quite a bit.
I like it a lot.
It was good stuff. So they're at least doing something on that front. And Metroid Prime 4, we'll see. It's looking good. So hopefully it comes out. Hopefully. There's something there. But like I said, dude, Castlevania is conspicuously missing. But with that being said, Konami's having a steady resurgence. Like,
Yep.
Silent Hill's coming back. Metal Gear Solid. There's the remake. That's
Yep.
coming back. There's something here. Like something's happening with Konami, and
there have been rumors of Castlevania stuff coming
yeah.
back, and I remember specifically there was one a few years back that said that they were working on multiple Silent Hill games. They were working on an MGS3 remake, and they were working on a reimagining of Castlevania. And so far, those first two have come true. But also, if you were to predict Konami coming back to the industry, those would be the things that you'd probably
Yeah.
say.
Those are,
So I'm not.
in fact,
fully
those are
sold.
literally the pillars of like Konami.
Yeah,
Like,
exactly. Like, yeah, of course you're gonna say that. But I remember there was also another rumor that they were trying to make a Castlevania that was Souls-like, that took inspiration from Bloodborne.
Mhm.
I don't know how I feel about that.
yeah,
Because I'm like, well, just From Software can do Souls likes.
Yeah.
I think that's fine. You make a Castlevania game,
it is.
but
I think, you know what? I think there is a way of doing it, and that goes into how I would make it. But I want to
yeah.
hear Konami calls you. They're like, Asad, we need someone
Yes.
to make us a game. We need
Absolutely.
Castlevania back. We've looked at your resume. You're the perfect guy. How do we make this work? Give us the pitch.
I immediately extend them to you because the last thing I have in my notes for Castlevania is how will this be successful? LMAO, it won't be.
What?
because okay, the pitch that I'm giving won't work.
Okay.
There's absolutely a way to do Castlevania
Yeah.
right today. There's a bunch of ways to do Castlevania right today. I guess this is like my fan pitch essentially.
Okay.
I think if you're gonna want it to be like a quick, easy success and one that I wouldn't even like blink to be like, yeah, this is gonna be great. Make a 2D Castlevania game. Partner maybe with an indie studio. I don't know. There's so many ways you can make a great 2D Castlevania game. I'd love to see it.
Mhm.
I feel kind of boring predicting something for a 2D Castlevania game.
Yeah.
If I was to make a 3D game, because the big 3D swing with Castlevania was Lords of is it Lords of Shadow or Lords of
Lords
the
of Shadow.
Shadow?
Well,
Lords
they
of Shadow.
they
I always got it confused with like what is it? Lords of the Fallen?
oh yeah, it is pretty
Yeah.
similar. I mean, it was like they're kind of like really they were like that was them trying to like really swing into it like in a big way. But Castlevania had been 3D like long before that too. Like there's Castlevania
Yeah.
64 and then the PS2 games, which I've never even touched those games. Like I have
Yeah, same.
no. I think I've looked at the PS2 games like in like retro game stores and been like, that's I kind of like the idea of maybe trying this out, but they were like $150. I was like, no fucking way.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
I'm not doing that.
Yeah, no, but they definitely had them before, but I think you usually think
When you think of 3D Castlevania, it's Lords of
Lords of
Shadow.
Fallen.
Yeah, Lords of the Fallen.
Lords of Shadow, yeah. Lords of Fallen. It's also because they did the Lords of the Fallen and now Lords of the Fallen,
Yep.
and it was Lords of the Shadow and Lords of the Shadow 2. Lords of Shadow
Lords
2,
of
whatever.
the Fallen came out with Lords of the
Exactly, like
Shadow 2 in 2014.
They kind of have like visual similarities
Yeah.
as well. Yeah, it's confusing.
Sort it out. Jesus
Anyways,
Christ.
I'm curious to see how a 3D game would be today.
Yeah.
Now, obviously, you can go to the Souls-like direction. First of all, I don't really care who the dev is.
Mhm.
I think again, like I said, Castlevania is so ingrained and it has so many things that people are already on board with. Any decent studio could probably make a great Castlevania game, right?
Yeah.
Like good direction, good studio, some background in something similar, you're probably golden. You'll make a good Castlevania game. Action-wise, I would say it can take a little bit of a step away from like that DMC old God of War style with Lords of Shadow. Just reel it in a little bit, but not go all the way. Like I don't want it to be full over the shoulder God of War, like new God of War style. The games that kind of came to mind when I was thinking of how the combat would basically be set up are two upcoming games. So I'm just doing this based off like how they look.
Okay.
But Onimusha,
Yep.
because it has that, it's very similar to Ghost of Tsushima, but it's tightened, I guess, and it's just a little bit more. It looks like it's more visceral and in person, whereas Ghost of Tsushima was a little more spread out, Arkham like. And then Phantom Blade Zero. So neither of these are over the shoulder, neither of these are fixed camera, neither of these are anything like that, but you kind of pull away from the character a little bit, but you're still tracking him to a degree.
Oh yeah.
And you can have some good group fights, you can have good one-on-one fights. I think that's kind of where I would live. I think there should be a focus on mystery. The games have like very interesting lore, and just there's so many things that you can do with like again, I was thinking of Nosferatu when I was thinking, I was like, man, like going into a castle and really not knowing this crazy, like terrifying figure that's in there.
Yeah.
And there's so many questions around it. And you as the audience, like you know what Nosferatu is, you know what Dracula is, obviously, but just trying to figure out what's gonna happen with the characters as they interact with it is so entertaining. So I would really love, survival horror elements, mystery elements.
I when you say that, I immediately, because like Bloodborne has a lot of that, where it's like,
yeah,
there's a lot of horror elements in Bloodborne that like actually scare me. Like when you
play
a FromSoft game, usually it's not that scary. Like it's scary dying maybe in some cases, but like you walk around a corner, you just get fucking mauled by a dog. Like crazy. I want spooky shit like that for sure. 100%.
Yeah. This is where I get into why this is like my fan version, and it'll probably not do well because I want it to be very contained. I want it to be 12 hours, and I want it to revolve around a single castle, just one wacky ass castle. And I want the castle to kind of be living. I want the castle to have a mind of its own.
Yes, dude.
It like interacts with you. There's like secrets. You go upstairs and you somehow end up down. Like shit like that. I want a wacky castle.
I love that. So I have that too with how I would do this. Yeah.
Yeah.
keep going.
And there's elements of this that exist in previous games, but a lot of them are like 2D, so you don't get to see it in full effect. Basically, this is a long-winded way of saying I want a 3D Symphony of the Night. Like that's really what I'm saying. Give me a 3D Symphony of the Night because that'd be awesome. Yeah, that's how I would want to see it. I would really just love them to go with that super visceral, super tight, claustrophobic element to it where you can't trust the things that you're interacting with, but still have a bit of freedom and action in the combat, because Castlevania was never the most reined in when it comes to combat, even though it maybe seems like I feel like From Software games are also a little restrained in their combat, and you have to be very methodical about it. I don't necessarily think that's a great fit, but I'm also open to be proven wrong. So I want to hear what you have pitched.
That, first of all, incredible, good stuff. I'm sorry to say that mine's way better.
Okay. I'm just yeah, okay.
So yeah, like there are two ways to bring Castlevania back. Perhaps Konami goes to the series roots, makes a 2D Metroidvania. Ooh, cool. Smaller budget title, beautiful pixel art. Ooh.
Okay, you say it like this, we would go
I would go
apeshit
ape
if we
shit.
saw that.
Oh, believe me.
Yeah, dude.
Maybe they give Castlevania the big budget AAA treatment. Ooh, 3D Metroidvania, Souls-like. What if they did both? Take a page out of Ninja Gaiden, and how they're just like, oh, here's a 2D fucking Ninja Gaiden pixel art game that's akin to the original. And then, by the way, we got the big boy coming in like a couple years. I'd have it released like alongside each other.
Yeah.
So this is
the Ninja Gaiden one's coming out later this year, right?
I think so.
Ninja Gaiden 4 is coming out in fall, yeah.
Yeah. Castlevania Orchestra of Twilight is a 2D entry.
Yeah, shut the fuck
I know.
I swear to God.
I literally just looked up symphony synonyms and then night synonyms. Like,
I feel like those aren't synonyms.
orchestra and synonym. Orchestra and symphony is that's kind of
symphony. Okay, yeah.
And then Twilight,
Night and
then
Twilight.
I mean, I guess shut up, dude. Anyways, this 2D entry should call back to Symphony of the Night in particular. We take on the role of Alucard once again. Dracula's castle is bigger and more diverse than ever before, but the main mechanic of this game is battling the shifting environment around you. I imagine this map is alive and it's constantly in motion as you traverse this castle, and you must fight against the environment and plan your next steps accordingly. This provides it.
You can't say yours is better than mine and just say my pitch.
Hold on.
All right, fine.
This is in the 2D form.
This is the 2D
This
one.
is the 2D game. Even though I would want this on both the 2D and the 3D game, actually. So this provides a twist on the Metroidvania format that flips the entire game on its head. Alucard is also like the most dexterous he's ever been. Instead of the stiff PS1 controls, listen, he plays fluidly in the game, but instead of like, you can kind of feel the PS1 stiffness in how he controls.
Yeah.
Dude, I want this guy to feel like water. Like I want like fluid movement, reactive sliding, dashing, wall jumps, all that stuff. I want him to like turn into animals on a whim, like while you're moving, like you're like running through the castle. You see this like small little hole that you can go through. You don't lose any momentum when you turn into a bat and like go through that hole, there's one studio that would nail that shit, and I don't know if you put it on there, but I'm curious. Maybe I'd love to hear. So that's the 2D entry. Return to form, make it feel more better than ever, and pixel art. You have to do pixel art. You do 2.5D, I'm going to shoot myself in the head. Do not do 2.5D.
Yeah.
2D HD would be cool. I think that'd be sick. Honestly, but when I imagine this, 2D all the way. I mean, pixel art all the way. Then we have Castlevania: The Hallowing Night.
Jesus Christ, man.
That was so bad. This is the big 3D entry that should take a page out of the From Software book. Not Dark Souls, not Bloodborne, not Elden Ring. I'm talking Sekiro Shadows Die Twice. Dude, Sekiro is like one of the most NES-like games where you get your tool set, you get one weapon, and it's like you have to play the game with this weapon. There's no wiggle room here. You can't fucking min-max a build right here. Like you have to play the game like we are doing this.
Why am I getting excited like this is a real thing? I was like, I got so hyped.
I know. A big source of disappointment for me with Elden Ring in particular was like how boring the whips were. Like I was like, they're fine, they're cool. Like I tried using it as like a secondary weapon, you know, but I just like wasn't really that thrilled with them. This game, Castlevania: The Hallowing Night, should be exclusively focused around mastering the series' iconic whip in like a Souls-like formula. Like I want a Souls-like where you get a whip and you just have to figure this thing out and it feels good to like play with and it feels satisfying. I want it to feel tough, like an actual whip in real life. You fuck around with a whip, you're gonna fuck yourself up, dude. Like you need to learn how to use this thing properly. I don't know how you do that, but like I'd love to see that. I'd love to see a take on it. You take on the role of a brand new Belmont during the late Victorian London era when all of a sudden Dracula's castle emerges from the middle of the city. I want a beautiful, semi-realistic graphics and like a somewhat painted feeling to the game. You know, I don't want super realistic looking stuff. I want it to look like this,
like Dishonored type.
kind of, yeah. Like I want it to look like a painting, like a playable, moving painting that you like. I feel like you could do something with that, you know? A new taste of the series would do well, not only because it amassed like a substantial fan base with the Netflix shows, but because Castlevania re-releases do well, dude. Like the Dominus collection and the Advanced collection, like that stuff, that's good stuff, man. Also, like we said earlier, Metal Gear Solid, Silent Hill, like those are the pillars. Castlevania, those are the pillars. This IP is too goddamn valuable to just do nothing with. So why not? I don't care who makes these games. there's a lot of talented developers. I feel like this is kind of a similar thing that we like every single game we were just like, I don't care who makes it, just make it good.
When I said earlier that like anybody can make a Castlevania game, it's still very easy to mess up a Castlevania.
100%. Yeah.
But in terms of like what X factors a studio has that would make a great one, like I don't really see that many. Like I think anyone can find their way into making a good Castlevania.
100%. And okay, I got a few studios. I don't necessarily want these studios to work on a Castlevania game. Like if you told me that they're not making their own games that they want to make and they're making a Castlevania game, I'd kind of be disappointed, but selfishly I'd be like, yes, you know. So the 2D game, Motion Twin, Dead Cells, they're familiar with it. Why not just have them, you know, kind of work on it already? But art play, Bloodstained, like the guys who made Bloodstained. I feel like, you know, Koji.
I mean, there's like original creators from Castlevania, or no, maybe not original, but
the series like co-producer Koji Igarashi, like he's the guy, like that was like really seminal with Symphony of the Night. I feel like it's kind of just a total like. It sucks because he's like, oh, I'm free from Konami and I can make my own game now. Fuck, I'm back at Konami now. Like that.
But to be fair, it would be outsourced to them, so they would have more freedom.
Yeah, basically. And then Team Cherry, Hollow Knight. They made one of the best Metroidvanias ever made. Why not? I want them. Listen, once Silk Song 2 comes out, or
Silk Song 2,
Silk Song 2. Once Silk Song comes out,
Silk Song 2 is like 400 years away.
Hollow Knight 2, Silk Song. That's right? I don't know.
Yeah, it's just Hollow Knight Silk Song.
Okay.
There's no 2.
Once they inevitably release that in 5 years, fingers crossed, without any delays, why not Castlevania? I don't know. And for the 3D game, From Software.
Wait, hold on. I gotta pause.
Okay,
you there.
yeah.
I gotta interject with mine.
Yeah.
Because those are great. Yeah, they would all work.
Okay, I mean.
But for the specific thing that you said, where you want it to be fluid all the time, have you ever played the Ori games?
No, but I've seen Let's Plays.
Dude, the Ori games feel like they're at a certain point you get with those games, it just feels like you're not stopping. It feels like everything is kinetic. And you're moving through the entire map in a single motion.
Yeah.
And currently it's Moon Studios who worked on that. Currently they're in early access for a game called No Rest for the Wicked, which is it's like a ARPG. It's Diablo-esque almost,
Mhm.
but it has their art style and it's like a more visceral feel. And there's stuff about it that seems really good. Stuff about it that I'm a little reserved on. It's out in early access, um, but I want to wait till the full release. But aesthetically, I think they could pull something off too. The way that they bring in uh, even like rain physics and
Oh
stuff
yeah.
like that. It's like it's beautiful what they're
Oh
making over
my
there.
god, dude. Like
So I think they could have a decent crack at it
fuck, dude.
too.
Imagine like okay, you're just like 3D or 2D. Like I feel like this could look really cool. Just like aesthetically, like you're walking up to the castle. It's raining hard. There's a purple sky with like a bloodborne red blood moon. The castle is like there. You see the silhouette of the castle and lightning cracks like right behind it, dude. Like and just like walking up to that is sounds so fucking cool.
I love, dude. I love how we're basically just taking a bunch of stuff that people took from Castlevania, and we're like, dude,
Just
imagine if this was all together in one game.
no,
Like-
literally, dude. I love that. That's a good
man.
choice.
Somebody's got to wake Konami up, dude. Jesus Christ.
That's a good pull for a 2D game, though. I like that a lot. I haven't played them, so I can't say for sure, but I have seen
You'd like
how
them.
that game plays, and it's beautiful. It looks
Yeah.
like butter. It's awesome. And so 3D wise, From Software, I don't want From Software to make a Castlevania game, but they would do a really great job with it. I just know it. And then NeoWiz, Liza P. They made.
Oh,
I feel
yeah.
like they could do something good, but like I said, work on Liza P. Don't work on Castlevania. Like
Yeah.
there's
I mean, because they have the whole extended like folklore thing
Yeah.
that they're doing, right?
which
Yeah.
could lean into Dracula's public
Yeah.
public
I mean, I
domain
wouldn't
stuff.
mind
Like
that.
you technically they can work that into Liza P. literally. So
Yeah.
okay, so hit me with your trivia. I want to hear this.
Okay. This seems less I guess I was expecting you to not have Castlevania, so now I'm like, you probably know this already. But I mean, you talked about it. The second Castlevania game, Simon's Quest, is kind of a weird one in the series.
Yeah.
It's sandwiched in between two games that feel very similar to each other in their design and execution. These fairly linear, challenging, platform-heavy, level-based scrollers. But Simon's Quest was more inspired by Zelda. It has a day and night cycle,
Mhm.
and like I said, it's kind of unfinished. It's bigger in scope. It's almost like an RPG. Essentially, it's simultaneously the most controversial and the most disliked of the original run of Castlevania games, but also one of the most influential and still has some cult status. So this, from what it sounds like, is one of the main ones that you played.
I haven't finished, but like I've messed
Okay.
around with it and I've like seen people like talk about it and it's cool and I appreciate it just as someone who's like obviously I wasn't there. I didn't have an NES and I was like, "Oh, Castlevania 2, this is going to be just like Castlevania 1" and plug it in and fucking cry because
Yeah, same. Like, I like knew that this was coming.
yeah, I knew that it was a weird one and I wanted to see like what was up with it. Dude, the fact that like I love the idea of like the story where it's like, okay, we didn't kill Dracula, right? We got to do it again. So you got to get the pieces of Dracula, put him back together and then kill him right this time. I think that's so fucking cool. I don't know.
It's so funny though because that story reminded me of when I was 8 or 9 years old and I learned about what fan fiction was because my sister was a huge fan of fan fiction. I wrote again at somewhere around 8 years old. I wrote a Harry Potter fan fiction, the classic, and it was. I don't think I ever published it, but I was writing it. I was showing it to my sister. I was like, "Look, I'm doing what you're doing," and it was that Harry would keep finding like green gunk around his house, and for whatever reason, threw it into a pot. He just threw it into a cauldron, and then one day he put the last one in there, and Voldemort came back because he was just like it was chunks of Voldemort he was throwing into.
No. Not
And then
Voldemort.
to realize that so many years ago somebody else had the exact same thought about Dracula is so funny to me.
Yeah, I love that. Just green goop that he's like, oh,
Yeah.
it's in the gutter.
I
And he,
remember
like,
my sister, yeah, she like read it. She was like, "Why is he throwing this all into a single pot to like bring this guy back?" I was like, "I don't know. I'm 8, dude.
oh,
What do you
what's
want
going to
from
happen?
me?
Voldemort. And
What? You're back,
dude, you're gonna. So I did the listen. I wrote my own Harry Potter fan fiction too. I'm not even kidding, dude.
Let's go. Let's go, dude.
So this was like I was like obsessed with like Harry Potter in like 4th grade, and I was like, I need to write the sequel series to this. And so my sequel series was Albus Potter and his run where he follows his son. It's his son, and the idea was that there's like the last remaining Death Eaters that are trying to revive Voldemort, or there's something like that. And they like there was like
Wow.
a new one every book. That was my idea. That is so fucking funny that we both made our own
That's
Harry Potter.
really funny.
I did incredible. I knew we had something. I knew that there was a connection.
I know.
And
I don't know how it happened.
I don't know why it was
but-
Harry Potter. That's
Yeah.
that's insane, dude.
On our Castlevania pick that also overlapped, by
This
the
is
way.
insane. That is
Yeah.
God bless. All right. So yeah,
the only other piece of trivia I had was Symphony of the Night was built in a kind of a unique way. The areas were built independently of one another, and so it was like kind of a modular design approach.
Mhm.
And the inverted castle idea came from a dream that one of the devs had. And the level design is something that's like kind of a criticism for this game and games that came after, because people talk about how haphazard it can feel. But obviously some people love it. I think it's an interesting way to design a game. I think that's a very risky way to design a game, and I wouldn't recommend doing that. But it's one of those things that like if it's done right, there's a magic to it that everyone kind of agrees on. It seems like people aren't the most I don't remember how much how many like if I had problems with the level design in Symphony of the Night. I remember liking it, and I love the idea of the inverted castle. But I'm sure if I played through it again and went through with more of a critical lens, it would be like, yeah, why is this stuff like this? Why are these hallways like this? But I think that's a pretty interesting way to design.
dude, the inverted castle is why I love that game so much. I just think that idea is so cool. The fact that like there was so many people that played that game and didn't beat it. They played halfway through because there's a fake ending to it.
Yeah.
They halfway through they beat it and they're like, oh, that was a weird ending. That kind of sucks. Only like imagine being in the 90s and like you're online and you're like, wait, what? You get this thing, you get this thing, you go here, and the castle inverts and it's even harder than it was before.
Yeah.
That shit's so cool, dude. That's so cool. And it's like it's stuff like that I want to see in like a new modern Castlevania, is something like that just flips the game on its head, halfway through. Like that's what made that game for me. And I think there's something that could be done there. I don't fucking know, dude.
Yeah.
That's good
I mean,
stuff.
shout out, by the way, Split Fiction.
Oh yeah.
It has a couple of segments. I guess that's another game that I'm playing through right now. I'm playing a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
But that game has some inverted elements to it, and I'm fairly early on, but I am very much in shock of how well they pulled off some of the things where two characters are kind of inverted from one another and have to make their way through a level, and the amount that they would have to meticulously design levels around that, and then they basically just ditch it 5 minutes later and do something else is crazy.
That's awesome.
That's a complete other thing, but yeah, no. Shout out to that design. It's some of the best I've seen.
I'm excited to play it. I still got to finish It Takes Two though, so it's. So for me, I got a bit of trivia for you. In 1988, Hideo Kojima released a little game. This is pre-Metal Gear Solid, known as Snatcher, and it's a point-and-click adventure game made for PC. That was clearly just a Blade Runner ripoff, like through and through.
Okay.
This game was later re-released on Sega CD, PlayStation, and Sega Saturn years later, but the re-releases saw some alterations made to the game for censorship reasons. This game is really absurdly sexual in like a lot of ways. Like
Okay.
there's some weird stuff in there. Look into it on your own time. I promise you, it's really awesome.
All right, dude, I'll look into sexual stuff on my own time.
Yeah, dude.
If you say so. It's a weird suggestion, but okay.
So among these changes was an alteration of the crowd in a strip club, where in the new version, among many other classic Konami characters, you can find Simon Belmont and Dracula sharing a drink and just looking at some cheeks. It's so I thought it was really fun.
Okay.
Yeah, it's good stuff there. Hideo Kojima is a very strange man.
Yeah. Wait, sorry, they're in the club. They're in the strip club.
They're in the strip club together,
Stand-
sharing a drink. It's like Simon Belmont and Dracula just like talking it up. To be fair, they're looking
Just chilling.
they're looking away from the stripper. That's on
Okay.
the but it I mean
Of
they're at a
course.
strip club, so it's like, you know.
They're gentlemen.
Oh, sure, at a strip club.
They're respectful still. Yeah.
But yeah, that game is absurdly sexual.
Interesting. Yeah, that's a wild one.
Dude, we did it. This has been way longer than I thought it would be.
Oh yeah.
We still
100%.
have another
We're at-
section.
We gotta get. Well, we're mainly we got to talk about the games we've been
Yeah,
playing.
that's it.
That's about it.
Well,
But-
okay.
Yeah, we did run a little bit long. We're at almost 3 hours.
So for
seems like.
for me, let's just kind of like quickly wrap a bow around this. Bring back Prototype.
Yes.
Bring back Parasite Eve, and most importantly, bring back Castlevania. Two of these.
They are going to bring back Castlevania.
Yes,
I do think they're going to bring back Parasite Eve at some point.
potentially.
Dude, Prototype's never happening. I'm sorry.
It's fine. It's okay.
I like that you led with it too.
I know.
You like started with it. And I was like, dude,
It's
I'm
like this
sorry.
is not happening.
But to be fair, I think my two of mine are probably never gonna happen.
yeah. What are the three? You tell me.
Uh,
I forgot. No, I'm just kidding.
What are my three? Oh, well, I mean Castlevania.
Yeah, Castlevania.
It's got to come back. That's gonna come back. Comic Zone.
Yes.
If that comes back, dude. I just think that creatively, the creative in me is like, oh, I'm so excited to see what they do with this, and they're probably gonna disappoint, but whatever. And then Resistance. I think Resistance has very slim chance of coming back if it's by Insomniac, but I don't know. Sony's shaken up a lot of stuff over there, and they still have a big first-person shooter hole over there. So we'll see. Maybe that's the one.
Now we are getting into what we've been playing. We're both playing Avowed. I don't know if we want to lead with that, or do we want to talk about our other games first and then go into Avowed last, since we're both
I
playing.
think we can talk about Avowed.
Okay.
Yeah. I don't have too much to say.
I don't
about
either.
Avowed.
It's fine. It's entirely fine. Like I think it's fun to play, and that's definitely the highlight with the game. But it saddens me because it's like this is not what I play Obsidian games for. I'm a big Obsidian fan. I love their games, dude. I mean, I say that, but like I haven't played Pillars of Eternity, you know, and like this is what this game's based upon. But even just like hearing the discrepancy between Pillars of Eternity and Avowed is major, because Pillars of Eternity, it's definitely much more ingratiated in like the lore, the story. That's what you're playing the game for, and so there's a lot more of that there. Avowed is just more kind of like I can't even begin to care. Like not a
Yeah.
iota of me is like maybe. The only thing I feel is I like Kai, the blue guy. Not because of his
Okay, that was I told you that was the only
Yeah.
one that I kind of remembered.
not because of his design. In fact, I think that the design I initially, when I first saw it, I was like, ugh. I was like, what?
Yeah, I don't like
What are
it
we
either.
doing? And then I'm kind of like warming up on it. The only reason I like this character is because of his voice, and because he's literally Garrus from Mass Effect 3, who is
He's got a good voice.
objectively
Yeah.
the best companion in all of Mass Effect. Garrus is fucking sick, dude. He's awesome. I've romanced him every time. So it's
That was an important.
that was
note.
an
I'm
important,
glad you
very
brought
important
that
note.
up.
So that's the only reason why I like even kind of care about this. But dude, the game's so fun to play. The environments are fucking beautiful. It's so like smashing a little like goblin creature in the head, and then like or like freezing a bear as soon as it's about to attack you, and then just shattering it into a million different pieces is awesome. this is incredible. Awesome stuff. I really, really can't get over just how fun it is to play. I just am so disappointed that they're just kind of settling for like a whatever kind of story and whatever kind of dialogue, you know. It's just it's fine. It's generally just fine. It's not bad. Fine. And Obsidian doesn't write fine games, you know. Fallout New Vegas is one of the most philosophically like titillating games I've ever played. Like you,
I love
I know
you have titillating in your Halo video too.
I
I
did
love it.
not
It's
anymore,
so funny.
but
Oh,
yeah,
you took it out.
well because it was in the beginning, like that like little like intro section. That
Oh
yeah,
yeah, you got that. Oh man,
yeah, I know. As
he loves his titillating,
dude, it titillates me. It's just I don't know. I love that word.
I mean, Simon and Alucard were being titillated in
Oh,
that strip club. I'll tell you that much.
God damn. You and the Outer Worlds, like I mean, the Outer Worlds isn't the best when it comes to writing, but it's still very entertaining, and it's still like there's something there for sure. Um, and that's what's holding that game together, not the combat. The combat's just whatever. But it's the complete opposite scenario here with Avowed. And the thing with Avowed, and like another thing too for me is like when I play Fallout New Vegas, when I play the Outer Worlds or any of these games, I am always going the pacifist route. Like I make sure I try to kill and engage in combat as less as I possibly can, because I think it's so cool to spec your character out to be a diplomat like that. Like that just always entertained me. I'm having the complete opposite experience here, where it's just like, well, I don't want to talk to people, so I'm just gonna. I don't care if I'm being an asshole. I'm just gonna smack this person in the face. I don't care. And like that's
Yeah.
it's weird how these role playing systems kind of betray each other in that sense, where it's just like, what do you prefer to do? It's like a diplomat or like an action oriented character. Well, in the game, it's almost like the gameplay undermines the role playing aspects of it, which is so interesting to me. But that's how I feel about it. I don't think I'm gonna stick with it. I actually think I only just played it just to check it out, to kind of like dip my feet in there just to see what was up. I don't really feel the need to continue on, but I still might like jump into it maybe every once in a while. Depends on how I feel. We've kind of talked about it a little bit, but like, how are you feeling about it?
I'm kind of in the same place. I don't think I'm gonna finish it. I I played, I like I said, 4 hours. I think I played it in one sitting, and it was gameplay wise, I was having a really good time.
Mhm.
And like you're saying, like I could not imagine playing this game in a way where I wasn't trying to fight everything, because the time that I have the most fun in this game is like fighting shit.
Yeah.
So like if I wanted to take any other route, yeah, you're right. It does fail as an RPG in that way. Not, I don't even know if like the systems are there necessarily, but even if they were, it just feels like you'd probably end up playing like the absolute worst version of this game if you weren't kind of unga bungaing through it. And maybe that changes as it goes on. Maybe things get a little bit more interesting.
Yeah.
But from what I've heard, it kind of stays roughly the same. Um, and it makes sense. Like I mean, when you start the game, everything from the way it's presented, to the way that it's designed, to the way that uh characters are interacting with you and what the lore of the world is and everything like that, I could best describe it as like if an AI made an RPG and then somebody kind of painted over it a little bit. Like
That's so
the
mean.
world, it's kind of mean.
It is.
I understand.
Yeah.
I tried, and this isn't necessarily a knock against the devs, because I know it got rebooted a bunch of times. I don't know what situations that they were in, what they had to tick off. Like I don't know. All of this world building, all of these like characters. It's just like you take the most standard like fantasy fare and swap out the names of a couple things. Oh, this disgruntled race and their history here, and maybe they're not as bad as we thought they were. And it's just like I've seen this so many
Yeah.
times, and they kind of speed run through all of these tropes and don't seem to get much deeper into them. And again, I'm coming at it from the perspective of just the first few hours, but I've heard that it stays roughly the same as you go through. It kind of just seems like you take um, that baseline and you control F and just look through a bunch of stuff and swap out words for one another.
Yep.
And the world is it's got like an interesting art style. It's got a bit of a different art style than you would expect from a game like this, and it's also different than the original art style that it was teasing
Hmm.
in its early development. And it's it's not bad,
No.
but it also feels like in terms of how the world actually is designed, it seems generic with this coat of paint on it, right? Every single aspect of this game besides the combat feels like it is generic things that have been painted over kind of lazily. Um, and then the combat, I mean, I think the combat's great. And which is the thing that I was expecting to be the worst about this game when it was announced and we were seeing gameplay trailers. I was like, this doesn't seem like it's impactful. Skyrim never had great combat. I don't know if you can. I was like, I don't even know if you could do good first person like spell casting
Mm,
combat because I've never seen it be done in a way that really feels great. It's like as an RPG system, sure, but
yeah.
as combat itself. But they really like surprised me in that aspect. I think the way I explained it to you is the Harry Potter's spell casting in
Hogwarts
the fuck
Legacy.
ass Hogwarts Legacy.
The
That's the
fuck
one.
ass Hogwarts Legacy.
Yeah, the fuck ass Hogwarts Legacy. What's the goddamn Harry Potter game? Um, yeah, the spell casting in that is like fine, but the way that they bind the controls, I don't like. And uh, I explained it as it feels like somebody has a string attached to your hands in that game and they're sort of pulling back at you as you're playing. So everything has a weird weight to it. Everything feels like a little bit clunkier or sluggish than it should maybe. And this one, it feels like the weight they like got the balance just right. You know, like every action, every swing, even just like taking your axe and winding up for a heavy attack. It's not just like, doing this and adding tension. It's like they kind of swirl it and bring it back and you see every part of that action and it feels like a move with that it's just visceral.
Mhm.
Um and I think they do a great job of that. I think they do a great job of making spells feel good and the books and the wands and everything. Like all of that's great.
The animation
But
and like the sound design of it's really cool too.
yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, like you're saying, just the opposite of what you would expect from these guys. And I feel like that's, the broad conclusion that most people have
Yeah.
come to. It's a good mindless game. I wouldn't mind it if I wasn't playing so many other games that I thought were better than it. Um if I was literally just doing a brain off having fun game, this probably would be it.
It sucks, but it kind of has me excited for the Outer Worlds too. Um
I'm excited for that, yeah.
the I love the Outer Worlds. I think that game is wonderful. And the only problem I have with it is that the combat is good but not great. The writers of Avowed are not the writers of the Outer Worlds. Um so you get, and I think it's been the same since the first game, so relatively, at least to my knowledge. So I'm expecting the same level of quality there, writing wise, for with the Outer Worlds too, with the design chops of Avowed. That combat, like I want to see. It's gonna be hard to see it directly translate, but since of Outer Worlds is much more gun focused, but there's still a way of doing that. I mean, it's a first person shooter. There's a way to get a
Yeah.
first person shooter to feel good,
Yeah.
you know. But even just like
I mean, I don't even think the Outer Worlds had that the gameplay wasn't that
no, it
bad,
wasn't that
in my
bad. In
opinion.
fact, it was
Yeah.
pretty fine. Like it was pretty, like it was the complete opposite of Avowed, where it's like the combat's fine, but the writing is good, and then Avowed's, you know,
Yeah.
um, so it makes me excited to see what happens or like, what happens to the Outer Worlds in terms of like its combat and design. And I think that's the bright side of this scenario. The dark side of it is that it's like you kind of gotta miss. You kind of spent a lot of time on this game and it was supposed to hit in the way that a lot of people were expecting it to hit, and it just didn't. And that's kind of a first for Obsidian, which is a little disappointing. Um, I kind of felt this way about the secret level episode of the Outer Worlds too. That sucked. That was dog shit.
I never watched that one.
Dude, it was bad. Like I
Yeah.
I was like, oh, it looks cool, awesome, like more Outer Worlds. Dude, I was so thoroughly underwhelmed when I watched that. I was like, this.
Damn.
Yeah, and it's like
That sucks because there's some good episodes of that
yeah,
show. I've seen a few.
and you'd
really good
expect the team dedicated to writing good stuff would write a good episode for
Yeah.
that, but I don't know the production history behind Secret Level, so I can't say for sure. But
I doubt it. I think they had their own writers.
yeah.
Yeah.
So Obsidian's kind of like, ooh, that's a double whammy right there. Not that Secret Level was like a big hit. It wasn't, but Avowed and the Secret Level episode kind of got me a little downtrodden on one of my favorite studios. But I'm hoping they pull through. The Outer Worlds 2 looks to be amazing. Like it at the very least, even writing wise, I'm sure it'll be a fun game to play. So we'll see. But
Yeah.
that's kind of
I also think that like it's not the most unique game premise necessarily, but the way that they set up like all the different factions and the way that they treat corporations and stuff like that, and the very tongue-in-cheek capitalist, vibe of that game
yeah.
just is more interesting and makes it more fun at a base level, I think, than just like
Fantasy.
an RPG about
Ooh,
fantasy.
A lightning spell.
Yeah. Exactly. It's just the fantasy.
I'm a
game.
dwarf who's
I'm a mean guy, but inside I got a heart of gold.
What is this Rick and Morty voice
I don't know what
you're
I'm doing, man. I don't know what's happening anymore. It's just
It's very high on life.
Oh my god.
Yes.
Anyways, so I mean, yeah, I think that's it for Avowed. Like it's
Yeah.
whatever.
It's whatever.
We'll see. And listen, we gotta, to be fair, it could get better. It could get better. And like we might not be giving it enough credit in that regard. So it's like us personally what we have to see, but like in terms of what we've been hearing, apparently it doesn't, which kind of stinks. But
If you play a little bit more and you tell me that it's worth playing a little bit, I might give it another go.
Yeah.
But I think just of my own accord, I'm like, I've got other stuff that I want to play.
Yeah. I'd listen.
Actually, which I should talk about some of those. And you had one other game that you're playing, right?
Yes. I'm playing Metal Gear Solid 2, Sons of Liberty on the PS Vita, like I mentioned before. This game's awesome. It's so cool. It's so weird. It's so fucking weird. I love it though. Like I'm the biggest fan of weird that you can ever imagine. You throw something at me that's just like completely nonsensical and doesn't make sense, but it's cool, I will love it. I played Metal Gear Solid 1 last year when I moved, and I fell in love with it. I was like, this is amazing. I really, what he did here with the PS1 is insane. What him and his team did, it's incredible stuff, and it's super campy and it's super dumb, but it's also like weirdly poignant too. Metal Gear Solid 2 is that and then some. In fact, it is scarily poignant, especially towards the end, where he let me step back. Initially playing this game, thought it was fine. I was like, I like Metal Gear Solid 1 better. I think just that game captures like a different spirit, and it's a lot more fun. And I had a lot less of a hard time playing Metal Gear Solid 1 in comparison to 2. For some reason, I was doing so bad when I was playing this game at first. Like I was like dying constantly getting caught over and over again. And the Metal Gear is one of those games where it's like if you get caught, you just want like I just need to redo this part. I want to do this without being seen at all, you know?
Yeah.
And I was really struggling with that, but I eventually kind of got to a flow with the game when I understood the controls a little bit more, a little bit more the nuance with like how you go into like the first person mode and how you can lean with stuff, or like a lot of the gadgets that you get. It becomes easier as you go. And even story wise, I was like, okay, this is cool. I'm just kind of waiting for things to ramp up, and eventually it did. And this game, I think, it predicts the future in a really weird, eerily strange way that I won't get into, but I'm sure there's like thousands of video essays about it and how it does that. The plot of it though, like the fact that like it is like a weird kind of military espionage story that is like very like Japanese in the way with like how like quirky it is, you know. There's so many little details, like where it's like you see like bird shit on like this oil rig, and you're like, oh, I'm just gonna walk over here, and the character slips. He just slips on bird shit, and it's like,
Okay.
and it's like, oh, that's a weird oddity that you experience. But then later, you're kind of like climbing scaffolding in a way, and you see bird shit on this pipe, and if you slip, you're gonna die. You literally fall off the oil rig and die, and it's like, so you see like little nuances like that are cool.
That's fun.
The box, like hiding under a box and
Yeah.
stuff like that, it's iconic. It's so fun. And even just the writing and just the general like, Colonel, what are you saying? Colonel, no. Like campy as shit is so fun. I'm excited. I haven't finished it yet. I plan on finishing it very soon, and I plan on playing the rest of the Metal Gear series as well. On top of that, Death Stranding 2, because I really want to play that game when it comes out. And from the trailer, what I've seen, there's a potential connection to Metal Gear in a way that could be awesome.
Yeah, I've heard of that. Yeah,
it's really interesting.
I don't have like the biggest connection to the Metal Gear franchise. It's one that like I've always looked at and always been like, I need to play through all of this. I know like some of the cultural touchstone moments. I've played a little bit of one. I think I played it at a time when I couldn't get through the whole series. Then I was like, wait, I want to get back to this when I can kind of play them. It's not back to back necessarily, but I want it somewhat fresh in my mind because I know they have very strange, convoluted stories, and I tend to forget things very quickly.
Oh yeah,
Like Alan Wake 2 was a game that I played so thoroughly when I first played it, and it came out a year ago. And when I was playing the DLC with my brother, I was just like so lost. I was like, what are they talking about? I'm so confused. So I feel like I wouldn't be able to get past a Kojima story that has any kind of connection to previous games if I played them more than like a year ago.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think when the remake of 3 comes out, that'll be a really good opportunity to go through them a little bit more.
Yeah. I think so. Especially because 3's a prequel. So it'd be cool. I would say that I'd probably start out with the original, the first 2, and then go to 3, because I first.
Oh yeah, like I'll play those 2 first.
Oh,
but
okay, I see.
like that, the release of that will be kind of my indicator of like, okay, it's time to start.
I gotcha.
Playing Metal Gear.
I'm so excited to play 3 though. I'm gonna play the original one, and then I'm gonna play the remake when that comes out.
Yeah, that was something that was. That's why I'm also kind of waiting for reviews to see how faithful it is, because I don't want to play a version of it where it's just so different.
Yeah.
That, I mean, obviously there's going to be some things and people are going to either love it or complain either way, but as long as I get the majority of the vision there, but I don't have to necessarily deal with some of the, like, I don't know, maybe it doesn't have the best quality of life or just access to that game. Yeah, that'd be a nice way to play it.
Yeah, for sure.
But
what else have you been playing?
I'll talk about Metaphor first.
Yeah, go ahead.
Because I've played that a little bit less. Metaphor does kind of the same thing that I was talking about with Avowed, where it's sort of generic fantasy. And it's funny to me because, okay, it's called Metaphor.
Yeah.
So you would assume there are metaphorical aspects to it. And they are extremely on the nose. Like, there's this book. I'm talking about like very, very early on stuff. So none of this is spoilers. It's like first 2 hours. There's like this book that somebody's reading about this magical world where everyone gets along, and there's no inequality between races and stuff like that. Because it's like very racist world where this takes place. Obviously with analogous, it's not like actual our different races here. It's like elders and I don't know, people with boxes on their heads. But this book that they're reading, it becomes very clear very quickly that it's our real life world, and you're like, this magical place where there's no racism. Hold on a second. But I assume that it's gonna be a bit of a grass is greener type of situation where it's like, oh, actually there was racism there too, and we have to not strive to be like this. We have to work through our differences, whatever. But in terms of, like, there's the main like monsters of the game have a very specific name. Can you guess what that name is? And remember, this is a very, very on the nose metaphor. So these are the monsters of the game.
Like boogies? I don't know.
No. They're called human beings.
Oh my god, are you serious?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah. The monsters of this game, like these crazy, like half torso. Hey, Sadie. What's up?
Yeah, finally.
What's up, big guy? Closer to the end than I thought.
Yeah, I know.
To be honest, with her cameo. Yeah, they're like these deformed, like jaws open, friggin' stomach has a mouth, weird looking
I
creatures.
was like,
Yeah, they're called human beings.
I didn't know. Like, okay.
and there's definitely an element to it where it's like, come on,
Yeah.
what are we doing here? But at the same time, the reason why I liked it, like what the story that it's telling a lot more than Avowed, is that it's so unashamedly like committing to that. I guess
Mhm.
it's so goofy and cartoonish, and still trying to say stuff about like politics and stuff like that, which really, at least to the point that I've played, does not feel like it goes below the surface that much. Uh, Maybe I'm missing something, and maybe it gets more like that later on. But I kind of like how cut and dry it is. It's like, hey man, you know what I'm talking about here. Let's just move on. This is the world because it's a little bit more fun. Um, but yeah, I feel like with Avowed, they're like trying to create this incredibly engrossing new world to experience, and that gives off this vibe of like, well, I've seen this before, and I feel like you're saying things that I understand, and this like doesn't feel like a new world that I'm experiencing. Um, but here it's just so I don't know, obvious that I kind of like it.
Yeah, no, totally. It looks cool.
But
Like it
also,
it
yeah,
generally, like, aesthetically, yeah, it looks like fantasy slop, but like I think Atlas has a very distinct design to it that like makes up for it in a way. Um and it is, I have been considering playing Metaphor over Persona specifically because it's just like, not only is like fantasy familiar, just the idea of playing as like a knight in comparison to a school, like a high school kid, just sounds
yeah,
like way cooler.
that was
But
exactly why I did that. I did the same thing. I want to get into Persona. I plan to get into Persona, but I think that this is just like a nice way to ease myself into
yeah,
that, I
yeah,
guess.
yeah.
In terms of like the RPG, like the combat systems and stuff like that, I think it's really fun. I'm not a turn-based combat guy. I just like never really got that into it. It's not that I hate it. I was just never like, oh, that's turn-based. I want to play that. But that's another thing that I'm trying to get myself into. I'm trying to get into more JRPG specifically.
Mhm.
So yeah, I've been having fun with that combat system. I hate the way that the world looks sometimes. It's really, really like low quality asset stuff.
Yeah, I've heard it looks like a
Sometimes.
PS3 game.
Yeah, it's not great. It looks like a PS3 game in like the worst kind of
Yeah.
ways. It runs slowly, or it just looks like it's stuttering all the time, and it just seems like they. It's not even that. It just seems like they couldn't put in high quality assets. It just seems like they took a bunch of PNGs of stuff and downgraded them multiple times and like stuck them in there.
Yeah.
It's very confusing. Um, but other than that, yeah,
Which is
having a good
which
time
is
with that
really
one.
strange because it's like, dude,
Yeah,
it's
and it's Atlas. Like they're so good stylistically.
Yeah.
Like how is your in-game art team struggling that much more than like your UI team, I guess.
that's so strange.
I guess it is different, but yeah. But KCD 2. This is the last big one that I've been playing. Another game that I kind of surprised myself with playing, and I talked to you about this. It's probably going to be my next video. Who knows? That video might be out by the time this is out.
Considering the editing that I'm gonna have to do it. Oh yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah. But yeah, it was a game that everything was screaming at me that this wasn't for me. And for whatever reason, there was a voice in the back of my head that was just whispering, no, you should buy this. You should spend
What do
$90
you what are you
on
playing on?
this.
PC?
PS5.
PS5, gotcha.
Yeah, I don't know why I'm playing on PS5. It would have made more sense to play it on PC, especially with my Steam Deck, and apparently it works really well with Steam
I've
Deck.
heard it doesn't work with Steam Deck. Like
Really?
I've heard I've heard someone I don't know for sure if like they got this fixed yet or not. But like when they were playing it on PC and they were trying to play it on their Steam Deck, it didn't recognize that the Steam Deck was a controller. And so like they just weren't able to play it. But
Oh, weird.
if it does work on there, then
I've
kinda
heard it's
cool,
like
but
yeah, I've heard really good things about it. Unless I'm like confused. Maybe it was the first game.
maybe.
I don't know. But initially I was gonna do that, but there's some games that I just feel like I pay more attention to when it's on a big TV and I
Yes.
have my controller in my hand. I'm like sitting on my couch versus, PC games I'm usually playing in the same place that I'm working, and I feel like I like playing those in like shorter bursts because of that.
Yeah.
Um, it's just a weird mental thing.
I'm
But
trying to get over I moved and I don't have a TV with like the couch set up anymore.
mm,
And it's been an adjustment for sure, dude. I really
yeah,
miss having the whole console set up.
yeah.
It sucks.
Um, yeah, no, but it's just a game that I'm just very impressed by, and it's a game that is so unabashedly itself and commits to everything with full force. Um, and this is probably like going to be part of the video, so sorry if I'm potentially repeating myself between the two, but it depicts struggle really, really well. It like when you start off the game, there's like a bit of an intro that gets you to a certain point, but when the game really starts, you have no clothes. Like you're in your
Yeah.
underwear in a random ass town and have no money. And to the point that any small thing that somebody asks for you, like you can't buy a beer at a tavern, is how poor you
That's
are.
so cool though.
And every single thing that you run into, like even if it's like $3 essentially, you're like, "Oh my god, how am I gonna get $3, dude? I have 15
It's like
cents."
homeless
And I
simulator,
just spent
dude.
and I just spent an hour making 20 cents and I lost 5 cents in the process. So it's like, how does this even work? Um, and then you go to a place and it's like, "Oh, you need $100 to get in here." And you're like, "Oh my god, that's got to be end game stuff at that point." And very quickly you start learning like the knowledge set of this game. You start learning what is worth your time, what isn't. But on top of that, like the things that you're doing in between as you're figuring out that sort of, you could almost say, like uh housekeeping stuff of how this game works and its crazy menu and like all its very specific things that are really hard to even like wrap your head around when you first look at it. Like, when I opened the menu, I was just like, "Oh my god, this is overwhelming."
Yeah.
But while you're going through that, you're going through these stories that I was basically having a moment with this game that so many people explain The Witcher 3 having. And I played The Witcher 3. I played 80 hours of The Witcher 3, and I I just didn't connect with it the same way that a lot of people did. And I kind of want to, but part of I think the video is going to be me reanalyzing why that was.
Mhm.
Um, but for whatever reason, I just didn't connect to it to the same way. I did think it had good side stories, but I think it was because it was trying to be also a great combat game, and I just did not like the combat at all. I always felt like there was a side of this game that was failing. And with KCD 2, it's the combat system is not made so that you can, you find an area and there's like a griffin you have to fight and you're like, "Oh, this is awesome, a griffin I'm fighting." It's like, dude, fight this other basically homeless dude who's scrounging for change and you guys are going to like mud wrestle and like
Oh, that's so
trying to hit
cool.
each other like with zero technique until one of you falls
Yeah.
over. Um I don't know if you know this, but you have to make potions
Yeah.
in the game to save your game.
Oh, to save it. Oh
Uh,
shit.
to save your game, you have to take certain things, you have to mix them together, you have to go into an alchemy bench and spend the time and like turn the hourglass and make these potions so that you can save your game. There's an easy way to circumvent it. You can save and quit to the menu and then you can come back. It's like if you're fine with the loading times, like yeah, you can circumvent it,
Mhm.
but I think like engaging with that system is really great and makes the game better if you're actually engaging with that. Yeah, there's just a lot of things that it does that could be inconveniences to you, but you're having so many interesting interactions with characters that appear in one story are also appearing in like 4 others. It creates this really tight knit feeling towards everything. Characters that could just be utilitarian, they're just like NPCs that you buy something from, now all of a sudden have full stories around them, or you pass them by, or you're like, oh, I remember they have this one thing that I really, really, really need. Otherwise, I can't progress as well as I want to. So they really do matter. And even traveling, like you fast travel, but you see the path that you're walking between traveling these things, and then people can like ambush you and stuff like that.
It's very
So
classic Fallout,
going
like that's
exactly,
how it
yeah.
works.
Yeah. So like going to a destination to find somebody feels like something more than just like, oh, let me just tap something on here
Yeah.
and go there. And I've always hated when games don't give me fast travels. And this game made me appreciate slowing it down a little bit. And I was like, I kind of get now why this would make things so much better. Overall, I just think it's a game that essentially forced me to enjoy the RPG cycle. And if I willingly start engaging with RPGs like this, I think I'll enjoy them a lot more. And I'm interested to see if I start engaging with them a little bit different
Yeah.
because of this.
That's awesome. Yeah.
So yeah, a bit of a long-winded explanation, but I think you need to find the time to play this.
Yeah, you think so?
I genuinely think that this, when it's all said and done, if you play like a decent amount of games this year, it'll probably be at the top of your list. If you get around.
I think so too. What it sounds like to me, there's like the question. It's like, ask a man whether or not they would rather be a samurai, a knight, or a cowboy, and it's like, I feel like there's so many games that are kind of getting there. It's like, you want to be a cowboy or you want to be a samurai, you play Ghost of Tsushima. You want to be a cowboy, you play Red Dead Redemption. And I think this is the one where it's like, you want to be a knight, you play Kingdom Come Deliverance 2.
Yeah.
And it has like a lot of to me, what it sounds like, I mean, they're very different games, but what it sounds like, at least with like how Red Dead had that kind of thing where it's like, no, you're going to commit to being in this realistic world where you're going to sit down and you're going to skin this bear and it's going to take a decent amount of time. You fucking asshole. She just knocked over my pistachio cup. Fuck. God damn it. So yeah, that was annoying. Like
I love the Italian mobster way that you said that. She knocked over my pistachio cup.
The fuck?
Come on.
Hey Sadie.
I mean, you mentioned Red Dead Redemption.
Yeah, I did.
So of course it gets her riled up.
A little bit. So it's like, as I was saying, Red Dead Redemption has this like commitment level to it. And it doesn't commit to it all the time, which is kind of like it's not necessarily a problem I have with it. So I do sometimes and sometimes I don't, but I still respect it and appreciate it for that. And it's like man simulator, just like I'm gonna go out fishing and I'm gonna fucking camp and not be seen for days and then come back. And this sounds like that, but put into like medieval times, basically, where it's like, I love the idea. You just start with nothing, you work your way up, and eventually you become this kind of like knight. It like fulfills that fantasy in a way, and I that does sound like it's up my alley. The tedious nature of like sitting there at a blacksmith and actually like hammering this thing and like making a sword, like that sounds cool. I totally want to do that. And I think I will potentially get to it, maybe. But the thing in my way is I need to play Kingdom Come Deliverance 1 first. Like I feel like I because you play as the same character. So like I feel like I need to.
Everyone said it's good to play it, but I mean, if you want to get away with a recap, you can.
Yeah.
And I was kind of feeling like, I know that there's a lot of quality of life improvements here. I know this one has like a lot more buzz around it. And I think the fact that people are talking about it right now is also pushing me to play it. So I kind of use that momentum. I was like, I'm just going to watch a recap of the first one. I'm having a good time. I'm sure it would have been a little bit better if I played the original, but the amount of dedication that I would need to put into playing that first and then doing this might have stopped me from playing it in the first place.
No, I totally get that. I think with me and just like how I play games, I feel the need to owe it. I feel the need to do that. So when I eventually get to that point, I think I will.
Yeah.
Because this does sound up my alley and like a game that I do want to play it. It does sound fun. There's a line
Yeah.
I've seen in that game where it's like, I don't know the context of it exactly, where it's like, I'll send you to Kingdom Come Deliverance. Like it's in the game, and it's like, oh, that's funny as fuck.
That's awesome. I haven't seen that.
And so
I'm like,
it's like tongue in cheek British humor, isn't it?
yeah,
I fucking love
it's
that
got
shit, dude.
it's got some goofy stuff in there.
Yeah.
I'm like 20 some hours in, and I just got to the first main story beat.
Oh wow.
I've been spending 20 hours just doing goofy
Yeah.
stuff, bro. And
I love that.
I don't usually do that. Like that's happened to me with Elden Ring, especially because it was very combat focused, and it happened to me with Tears of the Kingdom.
Nice.
Besides that, I don't usually do the thing like I would always hear people talk about that RPG thing of like the world opens up and then you just go anywhere. I'm like, well, I kind of want to do what I'm supposed to a little
Yeah.
bit. I think that kind of mentality also like blocked me off from enjoying RPGs to the fullest. But this one I've like really, really been engaging with.
Dude, I
stuff.
love that it has that effect on you though. Like that's so cool. That
I'm
it's like
I'm excited to see
forced
how
you.
it like
It's like understand this game. Sit down and understand
Yeah.
it, and you're like, yes, okay, yes, sir. And like, and it's working.
I mean, like that's essentially like I keep referencing it because it's on my mind. I'm currently, I guess, in pre-production of this video, where like that's probably what it's gonna end up being about, of like how it essentially forces you to enjoy RPGs.
Yeah.
If you're like, you have to pay attention to play this game.
That's awesome.
You can't play this game just kind of on the side with like a podcast in the background. Like you won't survive in the
Except
game
this
if you do
podcast.
that.
You can listen to this podcast and that.
You can listen to this podcast while you it's just, and the last thing I'll say about it is you mentioned Red Dead as an example, and I think Red Dead does this really brilliant thing of committing really hard to its hyper realistic kind of slow tempo, especially early on, and it forces you to like engage with it in similar sounding ways. But Red Dead 2 is also a game that was designed for a large audience.
Yeah.
Like it was designed for a lot of different players, as long as they gave it a little bit of patience and as long as they trusted in the fact that the story was going places that they would enjoy. A huge audience can engage with that. Even a casual audience can engage with that. That's not the same thing here.
No.
Like it commits so hard. It's like I had a buddy who was playing Red Dead, and I just kept telling him he wasn't feeling it at first. I was like, just push through it a little bit, and I promise you're gonna love this. And he ended up loving it. I would never in a million years recommend this game to him. He's a very casual player, and like even as somebody who the game wasn't quote unquote for me, and I ended up enjoying it, I definitely wouldn't recommend it to him.
Yeah.
It commits very hard to what it's doing. What's Sadie doing over
She's
there?
she's threatening me with hitting the tapestry, climbing it. So if I look at her, she doesn't do anything. So it's kind of like, the
Nice,
T-Rex,
the evil eye.
Yeah.
I like it.
I love that. I want to check it out. I want to do it. We'll see. We'll just have to see, dude. I have to. It's like a battle between like, oh, dude, should I play the games I want to play or make videos? And it's that constantly 24/7, because it's still like, dude, I need to play Cyberpunk. I need to play Baldur's Gate 3, and now I need to play
same
Kingdom Come Deliverance 2. But
Yeah.
before I play
I'm
that,
actually-
I need to play Kingdom Come Deliverance 1, and before that, and right now I'm on the Metal Gear Solid Death Stranding kick. So it's like, fuck.
Yeah.
I'll get there.
Yeah. I wouldn't be surprised if it took you a while. I will say I'm really glad that I played this before Baldur's Gate 3.
Oh yeah.
Because I do own Baldur's Gate 3. I just got it, but I haven't started it.
Sadie, can you stop?
And
Go on.
yeah, I think the way that this game was designed, and I don't know how Baldur's Gate 3 was designed as intimately, so maybe they do the same thing. But I have a feeling that playing through this game and learning what I learned from this game and how I should approach these like larger RPGs, very story driven, open skill check, etc.
Yeah.
type games, I think that's going to make Baldur's Gate 3 a more rewarding experience than it might have otherwise been.
How long is this podcast?
It's been going on for 3.5 hours.
3.5 hours.
Yeah.
Is it really? Oh.
And we got one more thing. We have one more section that I have to
I
get to.
forgot.
But it is just a couple minutes. It's
totally
just
fine.
a couple minutes.
Hey, pop off. Oh,
So there's
okay. Asad, this guy has an idea. This guy has an ear for indies in the way that I wish I could have, because I love. Can you stop, please? I love indies. Whenever I play an indie game, I'm always like, I need to play more of these, and then I just never get to do it. This guy is the guy that does it, though. So
I wouldn't say that.
Listen,
I've been engaging with them a little bit less than I've wanted to.
Sure, but
I have my ear to the ground.
Yeah,
I'll say that.
So, without further ado, let's introduce Asad's little indie corner.
So yeah, for each of these podcast episodes, I want to quickly shout out an indie game, hopefully one that you haven't heard of. The one for this week, or this episode, is Kill Knight. It's a very, very fast-paced, wave-based, partially level-based shoot 'em up. It's top-down, isometric, arcade shoot 'em up. I love the aesthetic of it, first of all. Just these deep reds and this... Again, it's a knight aesthetic, but it's a shooter game.
Yeah.
A very weird mix. But
it reminds me a lot of Returnal.
Yeah, if anybody's played Nex Machina, which was the game basically right before Return, well, it was like 2 games before Returnal by Housemarque. It was when they were in their arcade indie phase. This game reminds me of that a lot in terms of its basic gameplay loop, but that's just the arcadey roots of it. This game, first of all, is fast as hell, and the basic feeling of the combat and the basic look of the game, all of that stuff, is incredible, top notch. Doesn't get better than this. But specifically, the way that they incorporate strategy into this game, I find really interesting in the combat. So basically, you have your basic weapon that you have to reload, and it has this active reload a la Gears of War and Returnal and stuff like that, where you can speed up the reload process by hitting a button at the right time. On top of that, you have a secondary weapon that you fire with the alt button, and to replenish your ammo for your secondary fire, you have to do melee. So if you don't engage with melee, it's fine. You can shoot your way through things, but then you won't get secondary ammo, really. On top of that, with your melee, you can build up these ultimate abilities, essentially, and they are screen clearing and last for a little while, so you do want to build up your melee every once in a while. Then, to heal, there's no actual health pickups that appear organically in the levels. You have to build up a separate bar through picking up these orbs from what everyone is dropping. All the enemies you're killing are dropping, and those orbs fill up this bar. And when that bar is full, you can unlaunch this special attack that creates health orbs of the people that you kill. So you have to be very particular. You have to wait until there's enough people to kill so you can get more orbs. There's certain enemy types that have purple armor, and you can just shoot it off regularly. Or if you hit them with this special attack, it creates a big explosion, and you can kill more of them off at a time. When you actively reload, you can gain a little bit of your bar to launch that special attack, or you can actively reload with a different button, and it turns your weapon into overcharge mode. And then you can also hit the active reload with your melee to give us like super melee attack. So essentially, like within this single active reload system, you can do a lot of different things that will give you different advantages on the fly. It's kind of a hard thing to explain without actually playing it. Yeah, I've just been having a really, really good time with this. And if visually and gameplay wise it looks interesting to you at all, you're going to have a great time with this, and it's going to have a lot more to it than you might think initially.
This game looks fucking awesome. Like simply, like it just looks like pure like fun. Like it looks like just dopamine and
yeah.
And I love that. I just love games like these, and I wish I could play. I wish I'd play more of these games. And
this is one of those games that you don't even have to commit that much time to. You can play this for 5 minutes if you want.
No, totally.
Yeah.
Are you playing it on the Steam Deck, I assume?
Yeah, I've been playing it on Steam Deck. I played it a little. I've been on a few flights recently, and so I played it for like a couple hours during those.
Oh, so this looks like a
I ju-
Steam Deck game, like
Yeah.
thoroughly.
Like literally, like the other night, I was just like, "Oh, I'm going to bed. Let me play like 2 levels of Kill Knight and then go back." It's not like levels in the traditional sense.
Yeah.
There's a few different quote unquote levels that you can replay constantly, and there are different challenges, and the levels are based off of how the arena looks and what the waves are and the enemies that are coming at you. It's not like a campaign, but it's just super endlessly replayable, especially when you throw in the challenges and the different strategy that you can employ. So yeah, Kill Knight, check it out. I had a really good time with it.
Oh wait, the camera's right there.
Oh, let's go.
Oh, look at the camera.
Is she outroing us?
Yes. If you liked what you heard today,
Oh.
she's so fucking cute, dude. Oh my god,
That's so adorable.
I love you. Wow.
That's fucked up.
Okay. Thank you for that. That was first of all, okay, incredible game. Thank you for showing us. It's good stuff. I just added it to my wish list. When I get a Steam Deck, I feel like that is the game I'm gonna play. When my girlfriend comes back, she has a Steam Deck. So when she comes back, I'm gonna steal that thing and fucking play the shit out of this. With that being said, this has been incredibly long.
Yeah.
I
think we're at 3:30 now.
Yeah.
That might be a little bit shorter in the final edit, but
Oh, yeah.
yeah.
Thank you so much for tuning in. Asad, thank you so much for being here, dude. For talking for this
Dude,
long.
of course.
This has been incredible.
This has been great.
I don't even know how to like outro anything like this, dude. This is incredible. And she's like getting me all freaking like worked up right now.
I mean, hey, let us know what you guys thought.
Oh yeah, no,
of,
certainly.
of this format. First of all, we're very new to this. Like I said, we're people who write stuff down before we talk.
Mhm.
So off the cuff is a little bit tougher. But I had a ton of fun talking through this.
Dude,
Let
yeah.
us know if you would bring back a dead video game franchise, by the way.
Yeah.
I'm sure we're going to see a lot of like really cool stuff.
There are a lot of good answers to this, like Bloodborne. Like
yeah.
for instance, like there's so many games that deserve to come back and that have a good chance of coming back that we'd love to hear your guys' takes on it.
Gravity Rush.
Ooh,
That's not even from me because I should have played Gravity Rush by this point, but I haven't.
that's a good
I
game.
know a lot of people want that back.
If you like what you heard today, please consider supporting us in any way you deem possible, in any way you see fit. We're still, like we said, we're figuring this out. We have no idea what we're doing here, but there's something here. This was a lot of fun. Hopefully you had a lot of fun listening to this. With that being said, everyone just stay healthy, stay sexy, stay you. Don't get in any trouble, and don't fall into a pyramid scheme, among many other things that you should not do. Asad, do you have any
This is very
final words?
specific list of. Oh no. Is that her paw still in the frame?
Yes.
Scene of the crime. That's messed up. Links to our channels will be somewhere here. I love it. It's making it better.
It is.
I like it. Links to our channels are going to be somewhere around here. Again, any feedback, greatly appreciated. We're kind of treating this as episode 0.
Yeah.
So, let us know what you think.
Thank you for watching, guys.
We'll see you guys
Appreciate
next
it.
time.
Take care of yourselves out there. Goodbye.